Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Here we are. Speaking of booyah, they're doing a 30 for 30 on Stuart Scott.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was just reading about that. I don't know when it's coming out, but I just read that. Should be interesting. Looking forward to that. How you doing, everybody? Jason Lloyd is with me. Tyvis is with me today.
Bull is fired up today.
I am out of control.
Bull has been on a tear since he walked through that door today. I don't know what's gotten into him.
I've been crushing everybody.
Nobody's safe.
Everybody.
Nobody's safe
I even
today.
ripped myself for doing bad reads during the Ultimate Cleveland Guardians show. So even I'm not even safe for myself.
Jason throwing low blows. He just throwing little jabs in there. You got to catch it, though. You got to catch what he's saying because it's harsh.
Yeah. Jason's got that dry sense of humor, and sometimes you don't pick up on it.
Is it dry?
I don't give it a dry sense.
Normally it's pretty aggressive.
Unless you throw in like little lines, you got to be on top of it. We got Mike and Steve and Anthony and Earl all behind the glass today. First of all, let me start the show. We got a lot of sports to get to. Trust me, we're going to talk JOK. We're going to talk about how the Cavs are a bunch of losers. We're going to talk about how the Guardians are a bunch of winners. I will get into all of that, but I'm going to start the show with advice. I was going to give this advice to Mike right before the show, just in general. He didn't ask me for it, but I was going to give it to him. I'll give it to Anthony, too, who's in a relationship now as well. But this is the advice I would give to every person out there. If you are thinking about getting engaged, right?
Oh, it's too late.
You have a girlfriend, you have a boyfriend, you have whatever you have.
It's too late.
All right? But you're already married.
Yeah, it's too late.
We on the panel,
let's hear
married.
I want to hear it, though. Go ahead.
Here's the advice. Always live with the person before you get engaged.
Oh, yeah.
You say that as if it's a no-brainer, but a lot of people don't do that.
Who doesn't do that?
A lot of people.
Well, that's dumb.
Well, I agree with you, but
that's like now, buying the car without test driving.
Now, there are some people that, and you're a religious person, I believe, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Okay, some people, I'm not a religious person, as people know, but I respect other people's religions. Mm-hmm. And some people, for religious reasons, feel like it's wrong.
Why they put that down?
Life advice from Adam the Bull that no one asked for. That's good. I like that. But here's the thing. You got to get over that. There's a lot of rules in religion. You don't have to follow them all. Follow the good ones. Don't follow the bad ones. But I'm telling you,
I didn't know there was a menu.
I didn't
like,
either.
listen, I don't have that.
I don't agree with that statement.
When you're Jewish, you're not supposed to eat shellfish. You're not supposed to eat pork. Are you kidding me? I love shellfish. I love pork. What are you going to give up pork? Are you out of your mind? So let me tell you something. I would guarantee it. Now, I don't have the numbers to back this up. I fully admit it. But I would guarantee you that people that get married without living together get divorced way more often than people that live together because you don't really know somebody until you live with them.
I actually saw a study that said that the more you spend on the ring, the more chances that you'll get divorced.
I could see that too.
I don't know why that might be true though. Like that doesn't make sense.
Rich
if I drop 100 bands on your ring, oh we locked in.
I think why that is usually
locked.
Super rich people have less morals. They're more likely to cut corners, to do inappropriate things, and so they're more likely to cheat, more likely to end up, looking for somebody else.
Do you think that's the number one reason for divorce is somebody cheated, or do you think it's financial reasons?
I don't know.
Financials is the big one.
I think so.
It's both.
Yeah.
But finances is a big one.
So that's Adam the Bull's life advice that no one asked for, but use it anyway.
We can make this a weekly segment, Bull, if you want.
All right,
I appreciate it.
So the moral to the story is live with the person before
live
you
with
marry.
your person first, always.
I stamped that. I approve that message, actually.
Thank you. Jason, do you agree or
he gets the stamp of approval.
No, I would disagree. I think
disagree.
What is wrong with you?
No, I think that because of religious reasons and everything else, it doesn't. Not everything applies to everybody.
Well, but listen,
Alessi and I live
if
together
you follow the
before we
Bible
got
to the
married.
letter of the law, there's a lot of things you can't do. Nobody follows the Bible to the letter of the law.
Whoa,
Nobody.
All right, should we have a theology?
Whoa, don't say that.
You know how many things are in the Bible that you can't do?
Don't say that. 'cause
Anthony
there's
is
people
cutting
out
his
here-
own head off saying,
people that's
get
doing that.
out of this right now.
Tyvus, go back and read the Bible again. I'm a Bible authority. Trust me, you can't follow every rule.
He's a
in there.
Bible authority.
Go ahead, Mike. Let's get to some sports.
We're going to get to some sports. We're going to start with some breaking Browns news this morning that happened about an hour and a half ago. Holy crap. Bull's life advice has me way off. So let's just get to a read, then we'll talk about Christian Kirk.
Well, by the way, this all started.
I hit the button, Bull. You know what happened?
Sorry. You're right. Go ahead.
It is playoff time in the NBA, the NHL, baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is the place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs and slam dunks, all on the app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NBA and NHL, and America's #1 sportsbook. And today's winning ticket comes from Two-Tone Tony. He submitted this last week. It was a 5-part same-game parlay. He turned $10 into $370 with the over on alternate points for 5 different players on the Lakers. He had Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, D'Angelo Russell, LeBron, and AD. $10 into $370. If you have a winning ticket, send it in. We got a long list. We're going to get through them throughout the rest of the week, and we appreciate everyone for supporting us in that regard.
And Mike did a way better job with that read than I did on either of my Ultimate Cleveland Guardians reads this morning.
I gotta go listen to
So
that.
kudos to you. By the way, real quick before we get to our first breaking Browns news topic, the reason the conversation started is because I'm going away in a couple of weekends, and there's a couple that my wife and I are friends with, and whenever we go away, they stay at our house to take care of our dog, right? But they're not going to be around this weekend. So I was like, who could we ask to stay at our house? And I said to my wife, I wonder if Mike and his girlfriend would like to play house for a weekend. You know what I mean? It could be a good experience for them. Their relationship is very serious. They really like each other. At least I think. I don't know. Mike hasn't told me that.
That's
I
right.
just assumed.
That's accurate.
So I was like, maybe he'd want to do it. But I asked him and he couldn't do it.
You don't think him and Miss McNuggets have spent the night for a long
They
period
have,
of time?
but
So they've already experienced
Mike lives
that.
in a tiny little apartment. And I got a massive estate. No, I have just a regular size house. It's not that big.
It is a nice house.
It's a nice house, but it's not, it's fine. But I'm just saying, I thought, and then kill 2 birds with 1 stone. They get that experience, and, I get somebody to watch the dog. But Mike couldn't do it.
Never mind. Usually, when stuff like that happens, 9 months later, it's another result.
See, he could. Yeah, that's true. That would have been a good story. That would have been a good story if Mrs. McNuggets got knocked up at my house by Mike.
That would be very fun.
That'd be good. I don't know if that'd be
I'm
good
sure
for
Mike would love that.
Yeah,
So let's
right.
get to the breaking news this morning, guys. 2 Browns legends are retiring as Cleveland Browns. Christian Kirksey, Rashard Higgins are back in Berea. They're going to sign one-day contracts with the Cleveland Browns to retire as Browns. And, Bull, I know this has you hyped up and ready to run through a wall this morning.
All right, this is going to be the first of 2 incidents today where a number of fans are going to get mad at me because you can't say anything bad about the teams. If you say anything bad about the teams, Jason, you're a hater.
That's not true.
You're in that
I'm a total
category.
hater. Yeah.
Now,
I hate them
let
all.
me say that
Hate
I
them
have
passionately. I've hated Cleveland teams my whole life.
Yes, of course.
Yes,
you were
go
only
ahead.
born here. You didn't want them to win. Let me say that I have probably been more positive over the last year plus about the Browns than I ever have in my years covering this team. And in the grand scheme of things, this is not really a big deal. I don't mean to make it that big a deal. But it's an embarrassing moment for the franchise. And I thought we were to the point where the Cavs were the only embarrassing franchise in town. Wow. And I thought that the Browns had moved on from this embarrassing type of behavior. The only time you hear about a player signing a one-day contract to retire is when it's a great player. At the very least, a very good player. The guy's got to be iconic member of the franchise. You have to be a Hall of Famer or at least a multiple-time All-Star, or there's got to be something about you that was iconic. The most iconic thing about Hollywood Higgins is him fumbling in the playoff game against the Chiefs.
That's not true. He had a lot of red carpet
I was
walk,
about to say
touchdown
he
celebrations.
had the best touchdown celebration.
He had at least 3 of those.
That's iconic, his touchdown celebration.
Yeah, you gotta roll that carpet out.
Hollywood Higgins.
Do the walk. Do the walk.
If you're gonna retire, if these guys are gonna retire Browns, like who's next? Is Greg Little going to retire a Brown? I mean, we can go through a laundry list.
That ship has sailed.
Joe Schobert, is he going to retire a Brown?
That ship sailed.
You know who
he might?
Joe Flacco. What if Joe Flacco retires
Let's
a
have
Brown?
Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco has meant more to the Browns, I am not kidding, this is 100% true, than either Hollywood Higgins or Christian Kirksey. Nice guys, okay players. This is an embarrassing thing for the organization.
You are correct in what you're correct. But here's where it's not
a big deal. I know it's not a big deal.
No, this was not the Browns' idea. Clearly, this was the players' idea. So as an organization, what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to tell them no, go away?
Well, are other teams doing that? Because do you remember another team retiring guys like this?
But it also wouldn't make news if the Packers retired some slapdick.
Right.
No one, it's not going to travel to Cleveland.
I want to look into that, though.
But like again, like I've talked about this, it's really important how you treat players.
Yeah,
players talk, and for an organization's reputation within the league and for players in the league, you want to take care of guys.
Right.
And we talked about like the Njoku contract, took care of him. The Greg Newsome. Pay him more than a slot corner. Takes care of him. This is a lesser example of that, but it's sort of like if you tell him no, it's a bad look.
I mean, but,
we're going to make fun of him for 5 or 6 minutes, but it means more internally for the players.
You think the current players care about?
No, but Tyvus, do guys talk?
Yes.
And if you take care of guys, does that spread?
Yes.
But wait
if
a
you
second.
don't take care of guys,
absolutely.
But Tyvus, if you're a player on the Browns right now, are you thinking like, what? What is going on here?
No, it depends on who you are because David Njoku was here and he played with both of them. Like guys that's played with them, it matters because I was here with Christian and Rashard when I had my little cup of tea during OTAs in 2017. Yeah. Both of them was playing here, and Kirko was obviously they had got rid of Demario Davis. Kirko became the new leader on defense, so he was the leader. You know, that defense went as he went. Obviously, you had a young Myles Garrett there, but Kirko was the captain. He was the leader of that team. So he's got a ton of respect from a lot of guys that's still on this roster. Rashard Higgins made a bunch of plays. You know, when Odell went down and Baker was the quarterback, they had a really good chemistry. He made a lot of good plays and some big-time moments there. So I think that that's the reason why they're getting their one-day contract to retire as Cleveland Browns, because they may not have been the big names or made the biggest plays, but they have made some memorable plays. They have some memorable moments. They've done some things internally in the locker room, you know, things like that, and guys really like them.
But
so
I think that's why they
hundreds
of players on that level.
I agree with you.
But hundreds of players are not going to the team and asking for this.
Exactly.
I don't know. What if Johnny Manziel asked? I mean, it was bad. What an embarrassment that the Cavs made a big deal of Johnny Manziel being there.
I didn't understand.
What is that? And then people got mad at me on Twitter. They're like, he's trying to turn his life around. Well, good for him.
Let him.
The Cavs don't have to honor him.
Right.
That was embarrassing, too.
Yeah, but it's better for us to make fun of them for 4 or 5 minutes and to have the goodwill within the players.
Okay.
Than vice versa.
All right.
And that's, I mean, it's silly. Yeah, I think the whole concept of one-day contracts is probably pretty
ridiculous.
silly.
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, but especially in this case. Yeah. But it's still, if the player comes and asks you, what's the harm?
Like I said,
from a team perspective, what's the harm?
It's not a big deal in the grand scheme of things, but maybe to them two, it is.
Yeah.
You know, like
clearly it is.
Like, think about it. We laugh and joke about this, but these guys sacrificed their time. They tried when things were bad, they still was showing up every Sunday trying to make things good. Like I can tell you for a fact, Kirko did, and I can tell you Higgy tried to make a bunch of plays. They tried to be the spark in Cleveland, and they sacrificed and dedicated themselves to it. So you got to give them some respect for that, and that's what I think the Browns are doing with that. I know it's easy.
Make me feel
it's easy to just no. It's easy because that's the thing. It's easy to poo-poo a lot of people's careers, but a lot of people don't realize what they've done to even try to make it to that point.
100%.
And I think the Browns are doing a good job of least because they see it. They see it every day. The hard work that they put in. So I think that they're honoring that by giving them their one-day contract.
I get what you're saying.
It's not a big deal.
It is a major accomplishment
just
to make it to the
NFL. Yeah.
To play a game in the NFL. I get it. Those guys were both nice players, perfectly nice players. But my fat ass ain't playing in the NFL. I get it. You got to be an amazing athlete to make it to the NFL. But I just think that's a level of respect that should be, in my opinion, reserved for the best of the best.
Well, that's what the Ring of Honor's for.
I'm like, it's not like they put them in the Ring of Honor or anything. Like, what they get? They get one day, they get a social media post, and then that's it. Like, that's not that big of a deal.
All right, you talked me out of it. I'm over it. I'm over it.
Like, we making a big deal. It's really not that big of a. It's not like they never get retired or not getting a Ring of Honor. Like, none of that. They just get one day.
You will rip the Browns?
Yes.
Okay.
That's ridiculous. Yes.
All right, Mike, what do we got next?
We're going to move on and talk about the Browns' voluntary OTA workouts. But first, a quick word from Game Time. If you ever had a frustrating time buying a ticket to a Guardians game, a Cavs game, a Browns game, a concert, or a show at Playhouse Square, well, Game Time's here to make your life 10 times easier and even better. If you're buying Major League Baseball tickets, Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets even faster and easier. And prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch, with killer last-minute deals, all-in prices and views from your seats, plus their lowest guarantee. Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying Major League tickets. They have last-minute deals, flash zones, and flash deals. It makes it easy to find your tickets or any kind of event in your area. You can also see your view from the seat in the venue before you purchase, and you can toggle off the extra fee tab so you know exactly how much you're paying for your tickets. They also have event cancellation protection, job loss protection, and much, much more. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Just download the app today, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Once again, create an account on the Game Time app, redeem code LOCKEDON, just as you see it on your screen, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. So Browns' voluntary OTAs started on Monday.
Yeah.
And just like he has been for the last 2 seasons, Deshaun Watson was back for year 3 for voluntary workouts for the Cleveland Browns. Here's a video of him walking in, and if you want to play this through tag, Deshaun back, looks happy. No idea how healthy the shoulder is, but Deshaun is in the building. How big of a deal is that for the Cleveland Browns to have QB1 in the building for these voluntary OTAs?
Is he wearing a Star Wars shirt, by the way? What is going on?
I thought it said Babe. Let me see that again. I thought it was a Babe
trying to
hoodie.
figure that out.
Yeah, that's a Bathe the Ape
looks like
hoodie.
a mountain.
No, it's Bathe the Ape. That's the ape in the back. That's Babe.
What is that?
Bathe the Ape.
What does that mean?
It's clothing style.
It's just a clothing line?
Clothing brand. Yeah.
Okay. Is it a big deal? No, but the quarterback should be there, so it's good that he's there.
I think it's important. I said last year about Miles, if you were going to lead. If you want to lead.
Yeah.
I think Miles should be there, and I think Deshaun should be there.
Is Miles not there?
Miles is never there. Or I shouldn't say never. Rarely. Rarely does he
years.
show up, I think, to OTAs. I think if you're the leader, then lead. And that includes during voluntary portions. And I think it's great that Deshaun's there. He better be. He should be.
Tyvis, I know, you were in a different position than Deshaun Watson and Myles Garrett. You were battling for roster spots.
Yes.
I get it.
Oh, I was there every day.
But if you had, why do players not go to OTAs? Why not take every opportunity you can to better yourself?
First of all, let's break this down.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of phases in OTAs.
Okay.
Today, up until next month, it's just workouts. It's workouts and meetings, okay?
Right.
So you don't do the on-the-field stuff where you're practicing until May.
Yeah.
So if you feel like in your off-season program that you got a trainer and you got a guy that's helping you get better and all those things, you don't necessarily need to be there for workouts. And the playbook defensively this year, the playbook isn't changing. Offensively, they obviously with Ken Dorsey and all these other guys coming in there, it's going to be a totally different playbook. So all of them need to be there offensively. But defensively, like a guy like Miles, why do I need to come work out? That doesn't make sense.
Well, why not set the example
Why is he working out? Why is he working out? He's working out back where his trainer. Why do I need to be in the building to work out?
Because you're the leader of the defense.
Right. Like, why does Deshaun? Oh, Deshaun hasn't played well the last couple of years.
Yeah, I have to say, yeah.
Is Nick Chubb there?
He has to be.
They didn't announce everyone who was there who was.
I just don't.
I think the quarterback.
Yeah.
Anytime the doors open, the quarterback should be there.
100%.
In terms of a team gathering, team sort of thing.
I would just think,
and I would put Miles in that category because of his role on the defense, and defensive player of the year, and all that other stuff. If you want to lead, then lead.
When Miles is not a vocal leader, Miles is. I'm going to show up on Sundays and you know what you're going to get out of me. Yeah. And until my heart stops beating, you know you're going to get the best that I can possibly do. Nobody's ever going to question that. The other guys like Zadarius, obviously he's a vocal leader. JOK, Juwan Thornhill, like those guys are vocal leaders. They need to be there to help motivate the other guys. Miles isn't a guy, he might pull a couple of guys to the side and teach them some things, but at the end of the day, that's not really what he wants to do. He just wants to show up and dominate.
Nick Chubb is there. Does that guy need to be there?
Yeah,
no.
Yes, because he's rehabbing.
A couple other guys.
Whatever. You don't need to be in team meetings.
He's rehabbing.
A couple other guys who were there, according to the pictures they posted. JOK also there. Delpit's there. Denzel's there.
What I don't understand, guys, is
DeAnthony Bell's there. Emerson's there.
Tyvis, wasn't there a part of you, like, yes, you had to go to OTAs. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't there a part of you that just wanted to go to be with the fellas?
Yeah.
Like, so why does Miles Garrett think that way?
What are you talking about? Tyvis Powell has never missed anything.
I know that.
Not from school, not from practice, not from workouts, nothing. Tyvis Powell shows up to not even the UCSS. Tyvis shows up to everything. If Tyvis is alive, Tyvis will be there.
But I think it's a little weird that you're talking in the first person. But third person, or that I screwed that up. But knowing you, I feel like even if you'd been the biggest superstar in the NFL, you would have been at everything.
Yeah.
And
I just enjoy it.
Let me get clear. I'm not killing Myles Garrett.
No, nobody is.
I'm not saying it's the end of the world.
No.
I just don't get why you wouldn't take every opportunity to be with your teammates or have a conversation with a coach. I just don't understand that.
Let me throw this one at you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I played with a guy by the name of Joey Bosa. Okay. Joey Bosa went first round to the Chargers, okay? Yeah. When Joey Bosa got to the Chargers and they started OTAs and they started camp and all these, OTAs to be example, the team would be on one field working out. Joey Bosa would get up and go to another field and do a whole workout with his own people because he felt like that guy would get him more prepared than the organization did as far as the strengthening staff goes. Maybe Myles Garrett has more trust in his personal people because he's been with them. They know his body. They know what he needs. G. Bush talks about all the time how he got all these guys that sleep, work out, eat, nutrition, all of this stuff. So if those guys have gotten him to be Defensive Player of the Year last year, why would he leave them to go be with the Browns?
Couldn't he do both? Like, couldn't those guys come with him to Cleveland?
I don't know.
Why not?
Well, I don't know.
It's a fair point you're making, and whatever Myles does on April 16th is not going to impact if he gets a sack on September 19th.
No,
I totally agree with that. My only point is I'm holding him to the standard he set for himself. And I've mentioned this before last year on the show, and we had this exact same conversation. The COVID year, or maybe it was 20 or 21, somewhere in there when we were not allowed in the locker room, I was walking out of the stadium with him. And he was telling me that he had just rewatched Last Dance. He was fascinated with the way Jordan led and with the way that Jordan carried himself and the way that he prepared and all of that. And he wanted to instill that. And so I'm just holding him to the standard that he set for himself. You think Michael Jordan? Ain't no way. I mean, there was no such thing in the NBA, but Michael Jordan ain't. Michael Jordan walked in the trainer's room and told guys, get dressed, you're playing. You're not hurt. Go get dressed. Shut up and go. So and we're talking two guys. I'm talking the quarterback and the leader of the defense. That's it. And the other guys, if you're there, you're there. If you're not, you're not. But if you are in those positions and you're paid what you're paid and you're the Defensive Player of the Year and you're the quarterback of the team, if you're going to lead, than lead. That's my only point. Ultimately, it's sort of like the retired jersey or the one-day retirement thing. It's probably not that big. I would just prefer that he be there because I'm going to hold you to the standard that you set for yourself.
So he skips this phase of working out.
Yeah.
And when they get on the field, he's there and he's leading.
Great.
That's fine. That's what he does. Like, that's exactly what's going to happen.
And if he's there for that, okay.
Well, cool. I'm sure he will be. But, like, who cares about I mean, obviously, I'm different. I'm not Myles Garrett. I was an undrafted guy who was fighting for his life every single day. So I had to be there. But Myles doesn't have to do that because, like I say, he has his own training staff, and they're just working out.
Clearly, he works out.
Clearly. Yeah.
Clearly, he's pretty good at the training thing.
Yeah.
When it comes to the on-field portion, I hope he's there. That's all.
That if he's not there for the on-the-field portion, then we'll have this conversation.
But in terms of the conversation started about Watson, so obviously, just like we wanted Myles Garrett to be there, we're happy that Deshaun Watson
for sure.
Yeah, DY like I say, DY being there is important because, like I say, it's a new offensive play calls and all this stuff that they're trying to do. You need to make sure that you're on board with the communication. Language might change under Ken Dorsey if he is calling the plays or if these guys come in with new ideas. You want to get all of this stuff, find out what you're comfortable with, try to build this playbook like you did last year. You tried to build a playbook for the season. Obviously, you got hurt and things didn't go really to plan. Hopefully, things change this season, but you got a new piece that you got to work with, Jerry Jeudy, see how he operates. Obviously, you're not going to be throwing the ball like that, but you want to get there and get that chemistry going and, like I say, learn a new language.
Yeah, and obviously he's recovering from injury as well, so that's a factor too. All right, Mike, what do we got?
We're going to talk about JOK here in a second. This is something you brought to my attention, Bull, that got brought up inadvertently yesterday, but first, today's episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you do if you had an extra hour in a day? Go for a run, take a nap, read a book, show up for a friend? Well, a lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would we use it? What's the best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule to help you find out what's important to you and make it a priority? Well, therapy can help you find what matters so you can do more of it. If you're thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon. Boy, you sent me an article from The Athletic last week about potential extension candidates across the league. And one of the names on the list was Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Owusu-Koramoah.
You can tell it's been a while since Mike said that name.
I tried switching tabs as I was, and I just.
By the way, Mike, the article was actually the top 50 expected free agents next year.
Oh, it wasn't an extension.
No, it wasn't. I mean, they talk about it in the article, a possible extension for him, but the actual article was top. And what's amazing is, it's I don't know who wrote this article for The Athletic. I can't remember.
Jason Lloyd.
No, it wasn't Jason.
It was not.
Jason, please. He don't have time for that.
Trying to get me fired. It's a good thing I got a contract.
He's busy with Cleveland. There's a lot going on.
I'm busy hating Cleveland. And
That's right. He hates Cleveland. He hates all the teams. But JOK was listed as the number 6 free agent next year, ahead of a lot of big-time players that you wouldn't have thought.
Like who? You got something off the top of your head?
Amon-Ra St. Brown they had him ahead of. They had him ahead of T. Higgins. Those are the two off the top of my head I can think of. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So, again,
he had a monster year last year.
But think about this, guys.
JOK.
Oh, yeah, he did.
So, Mike, the question is going to be, should the Browns be looking into an extension right now?
That is the question, yeah.
Right? Here's the crazy thing. You went from a year ago where DeQuell Jackson, and we've repeated this many times because it's worth repeating, DeQuell Jackson, arguably the best Browns linebacker since the team returned in '99.
Arguably.
Right? Who's in the competition?
Joe Schobert.
Stop it. What are you, out of your mind?
All right, Philip. All right, Philip.
I love Joe. I thought Joe and I were going to become friends.
Are you talking Pro Bowl Joe? Is that who you talking about?
But Joe Schobert is not anywhere close to DeQuell Jackson. You're out of your mind.
Pro Bowl says
but anyway,
otherwise. Nah, DeQuell.
Take that.
Should have said Dwayne Rudd.
DeQuell, who knows the position as well as anybody we've talked to, said this guy was a cut. And we don't bring that up to crap on DeQuell.
They
all agreed with him.
He was out of pocket.
It's to show how far
he's come.
JOK has come.
He was awful in 22. Awful. He looked unplayable.
Which tells you the importance of scheme.
No doubt.
Like,
he went from unplayable to elite.
Yeah.
When does that ever happen?
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I was praying that it happened because DeQuell Jackson started working with JOK last summer, and if JOK didn't play well last season, then that would have been a direct reflection of how DeQuell Jackson is as a coach. So, DeQuell, you got lucky because he had a really good season because I was so ready to throw you under the bus.
Oh, boy. Can you think of an example, anybody off the top of your head, of a football player that went from unplayable to elite in one season?
Unplayable to elite?
I mean, I thought, is it unfair? Am I stretching to say elite?
I think you're stretching. He wasn't unplayable because he played. He wasn't very good, but he wasn't unplayable.
He shouldn't have been playing.
I don't think he should have been. I think he just wasn't very good.
I thought he was kind of not out of position, but he was put
in
very few situations to succeed.
Bad to elite? Not good to elite?
I mean, it's rare. Yeah. Certainly, it's obviously, it's very rare. And it makes...
I got one.
Who?
David Njoku.
David Njoku was always kind of average.
I guess he wasn't unplayable.
Yeah, he was.
Now we switch it to bad. Was he bad?
David Njoku was just a guy. He was just an average. I shouldn't even say just a guy. He was an average tight end who, and even in my opinion, I don't think he was elite last year. He went from average to very good.
Well, let's table that part of the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. The point is, it was a massive jump, but now he's going to be a free agent at the end of the season. The Browns have never spent in recent years, under this regime, any kind of significant money at linebacker. Now, the way he played last year is his season last year was the best season by a Browns linebacker since at least Schobert and maybe since I would say since DeQuell Jackson. He was more impactful last year. Joe Schobert was a good player, solid player. He was never as impactful.
Made plays. He did. Schobert was sound.
Right.
Like he made the play in front of you.
Right.
But wasn't impactful, I guess is the best way.
I think Joe was a poor man's DeQuell Jackson. I mean, that's kind of what
JOK made game-changing plays.
Yes. JOK, best linebacking play we've seen in a decade plus.
Yeah.
So, what do you do?
Well,
if you're the Browns right now,
I'd try and sign him now.
Yes.
I don't know what they're going to, but the price, I mean, here's the risk.
Yeah.
Which version are you getting? You've got one mid to bad year and one elite year. You would imagine with the same scheme, you're going to get the same results the second time around, but there is risk involved in that, in doing it now. But the price is only going to go up. If he's elite again next year, what's he going to get in free agency next year?
Right. $14 million a year?
I went through and I actually looked at the top linebacker contracts in football. You take 173 when you get a chance.
Is it
Roquan
Smith that's number one?
Same kind of linebackers.
They just separate it into linebackers. It's edge versus linebacker. So this is kind of 3-4 defensive end linebackers.
Not like J.J. Watt's a linebacker.
No, but Roquan Smith got $100 million. This is sorted by average annual value. So, Roquan's got 20. Fred Warner 19. He's going to probably get in the Milano to Tremaine Edwards category.
Yeah, I was struggling because I was looking at this morning, and I was struggling to where to slot him because some of those guys are a lot older, obviously.
But have done it for multiple years. So do you...
He definitely going to get more than 14.
You think he's
but
above...
I don't know.
What's he get right now? He get more than 14 a year?
Today, like if I sign him today...
I think the Patrick Queen one...
Yeah. I'd sign him to the Patrick Queen deal now.
I'd sign him to the Patrick Queen deal
I think that's realistic.
Would he take that, though?
Yes. You think always take the money. He's one injury away. You're one injury away.
Especially in the NFL.
So this is the thing, Jason. This is the thing. What you saying right now is how from, I would say, 10 years ago, 5 years ago and back is how we thought. But these kids today are the biggest risk takers I've ever seen in my life.
We can have that conversation.
And they love to bet on themselves.
We can have that conversation about baseball and how many guys regret not taking it.
This is the thing.
Because I'm not paying him those top 3 right now.
No.
If he go out there All right, so you put yourself in his shoes.
Right.
Do I take $13.6 million right now, or I go out there? I had a crazy year last year. I'm only going to get better as year 2. They're going to use me a little bit more this year because coaches know that it's payday and they want to see me get paid. So they're going to use me even more so I can increase my numbers and I can get up to $18, $19 million.
And if I blow out my knee, I'm getting 2.
It's a risk you willing to take.
Well,
We talking $5 to $6 million more dollars.
What's he made to this point? Because
not a lot.
What was he, a second round pick? He had
He's
like
set for life.
like $1 million or $2 million.
He and his family are set for life if he signs that
right
contract.
His career earnings to date.
$2 million.
No, it's more than $2 million, but it is 6 and change.
So he's not hurting.
So no, he's already set for life.
He ain't hurting.
But I just
we'll
think
see.
you take the
The
guarantee when it's.
But what
in front of
I would tell you is, you only really you guarantee one opportunity to hit this thing big. So you got to, if you gonna do it, you got to go big on
So
this.
you think he's going to say no? If they offer him the Patrick Queen or something, maybe a tiny bit more than the Patrick Queen deal, you think he says no?
How much more are you talking? What's your number?
Can you show me that again?
What's your number?
Mike?
14 to 18. Let's say 14 to 18. Over how many
Let's split the
years?
difference. Let's go 16, right between Tremaine Edmonds.
Yeah,
and
let's say
Matt
they offer him 16 guaranteed, $48 million total.
I think he's crazy if he turns that down.
I think he would take that.
Yeah.
I think he would take that.
Now
What
I
about
would do
14? What about 56 over 4? With 45 guaranteed.
that. Oh, he would 100%.
I would take that too.
So that's 14 million. That's more the.
Oh, the second number is the average annual value.
Yeah,
not
yeah.
what's
Second number is the
guaranteed.
average. That's the total.
You
and then the
said
average annual,
56 with 45 guaranteed?
45 guaranteed.
I'd take that today.
56
I don't think
for
that-
4 years.
45 guaranteed?
That's
I would
what,
take
14
that
a year?
14 a
today.
year.
Yeah.
45 guaranteed. I don't think that's outrageous.
No, I would do that.
Now,
I don't want to give him $100 million contract
no.
right now.
So we're going to go
No.
from a position that
Although
they
what do I
never
care? It's not my
valued.
money.
But that's what I'm saying.
It's not my money. Jimmy's got it all. Pay him
So
whatever.
you're going to go from a position that we never paid to paying him
But
That's what
yes,
I'm saying.
one of the top on the defense.
what I would say to that is they've never had anybody worth paying in this.
So let me ask you this question.
Yeah.
Who you willing to part ways with after
That's
the season?
exactly
Because
right.
it's somebody's gone.
Well,
Somebody's gone.
Who? What do you mean?
It could
Who's
be,
got to be gone?
It could be a Genu. It could be Zadarius. It could be
One of the guards.
Dalvin.
One of
it
the
could
guards.
be a guard. It
I
could
mean,
be. If you pay that, somebody's going to fall
To
for
me, JOK is way more important to the Browns the next few years. I'll say next 4 years than Greg Newsome. Way more.
this. Okay.
And we talked about this yesterday. Like the Browns made when they hired Jim Schwartz, it was clear. Defensive front is the most important part of his scheme, and then the secondary, and then the linebacker.
Right,
It
but
is the
he's a
least
part of
important
that
part.
front to some degree because he makes impact plays
I
in the
agree.
backfield.
I agree.
I would lock. I absolutely, and I can't believe this because like we were talking about like this guy couldn't play.
I know.
And
There's-
I love the guy.
There's risk on the
I wanna
Browns
sign him.
side. There's
There
risk
is.
on the Browns
Shame,
side. too, to
shame
some
on DeQuell for coming on. I love
But
it.
it's not just DQ.
He doubled
Our
down.
I all thought that.
I didn't say that.
Our eyes told.
I said that he was out of position. That's what I
Okay.
said.
The
Well,
bottom
he
line
was.
is he
You're
wasn't
right.
performing.
You're right. He was.
You're right, but he wasn't performing. Bottom line. And last year,
put
think
it
about the playoff game. He's the only guy that showed up on defense. The only guy.
To put into context how truly good JOK was last season. In his first 2 years in the NFL, combined 10 tackles for loss. It's just one stat. You can go across the board. These are pretty consistent across. 10 total tackle for losses. In 2023 alone, and he sat out one game, 16 games, he doubled his career total from his first 2 years, 20, and finished top 3 in the entire NFL. And from a linebacker position, I know
20?
not every stat is
Yeah.
different for each position. 20 tackles for loss, top 3 in the NFL with Fred Warner and Roquan Smith.
And those are the two of the best.
And they've also done it.
So you that right there, what you just said,
Yeah.
Mike. I want Fred Warner and Roquan
Right,
Smith
but those
money.
guys have done it for multiple years.
So that goes
Well,
back to if I double down on this year or what I just
right.
did, I
Then
want to
he'll
be
get it.
highest
Right.
paid.
Then
If
he'll
I'm
get it.
him, I'm saying, well, I should be getting paid what they're getting
That's
paid.
what I'm saying.
But I'm saying if I'm the Browns, I'm trying. In the end, I don't care. It's not my money. Jimmy's willing to spend it. All I know is they should sign him.
The
That's
more,
it.
the
Whatever-
moral to the story is
Yeah.
that Jason knows, me and Jason, if you sign him,
Yeah.
Somebody is
Greg
gone.
Newsom goes. See ya.
Okay.
I like Greg Newsom.
Okay.
But I put it in the poll, Mike. I guarantee you, if you could only keep for the next 4 years Greg Newsom or JOK, 90% of people, maybe higher, would say JOK. How about you guys?
I'll make the poll right now, but I want to ask you this side question real quick. So we all agree they should extend or try to extend JOK.
Yeah.
Yes.
Will they, though? Will the Browns pay a linebacker? That's the bigger question.
I think they will. It's easy to say, well, they don't pay linebackers. Again, who should they have paid that they didn't?
I think they
But I think what you can say is even in free agency, they haven't gone out and spent on
You're right.
big-time linebackers.
You're right. That's true. But there's not that many linebackers that play that position that are that good.
This
paying.
is tricky. This is a tricky subject.
Yeah.
Because, see, organizations fall for this every time. This becomes the topic of conversation every time. You always are hit with this dilemma. Is it the player or is it the scheme? That's the question that you got to ask yourself. Because if you think, if it's the scheme, if the scheme is great and I know it works, then I can go get another guy and plug him in and it'll be fine. But see, a lot of people think that. They don't realize that the talent actually is a big thing. Like I say, I always think about Seattle. With the LOB, they let all of them walk because they said, we got the scheme, we got the perfect scheme in there. It don't matter who we put there. If they do what we tell them to do, they'll be successful. And they found out for a bunch of years that secondary was totally different without them guys. So I think the Browns are now faced with that same dilemma with JOK. Is it JOK? But then you got to look at a guy like Taki was out there last year. He played one of his best years, and he ended up getting paid. But he didn't look like was he, McNuggets, in the pass coverage? He was one of the top pass coverage linebackers.
Yeah, he graded out well across the board in every statistic you want to
but he didn't make the impact anywhere.
I'm not saying that. What I'm telling you is they'll look at it and say, this is JOK and Taki were just guys. Until Jim Schwartz came and the scheme was so great that they became these guys. So they feel like maybe we could go get another guy that mimics them, and we could get the same production out of it. I'm telling you, it's a decision that they got to make, and that's something that the higher ups think of because I've watched it happen.
I think it'd be a mistake if they do that, but I agree.
I tell you what, every time that they thought it was the scheme over the player, turned out to be a mistake.
If they take a weak side linebacker in the second or third round,
that tell you everything you need to know. Tell you everything you need to know.
Because I don't think you can wait till next year to try and replace him.
No, you got to put him in the system now so he'll learn it.
So if they take a weak side linebacker, or if they take a linebacker second or third round,
I'll tell you what you need to know.
You'll know JOK's future.
Mike?
So I put it in the poll,
just
like you asked. Who is more important to the Browns' defense over the next 4 years, JOK or Newsom? It's only been up for 2 minutes. We have 150 votes. Before I tell you the result, around the panel, what do you think?
Does anybody think Newsom?
Yep.
You think he's more important than JOK?
Yep.
Wow. Okay.
What do you think the percentage of the vote is?
90-10.
For Newsom?
No, 90-10 for JOK.
What do you think, Bull?
82 to 18.
Jason?
JOK.
I was thinking 80-20, so I'll say 70-30 just to be different.
With 137 votes, I will end the poll. It was exactly 90-10 JOK over Newsom.
You really think Greg Newsom is more important?
I think secondary positions is always
in a passing
important.
league.
But he's the third corner.
But it's a passing league.
Right, but they got, don't you think the backup options
Let me ask you this. Yeah. Was Greg Newsom productive this year in the slot? I take away the last game because that's all everybody think about.
As
over
a
the course,
corner, he's a good, solid, productive player. Yes.
What do they do a lot in this league?
Throw the ball.
Okay. And my last question for you is:
although 2 of the 3 other teams in this division run the ball a ton,
would a strong D line overcome average linebackers?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the thing. If you got a strong D line, that counters 2 things. 1, your corners are really good because they don't have to cover for that long. They're gonna get home. Yeah. 2, they don't have to work. They don't have no responsibilities in the run game because the D line is gonna do such a great job of taking up double teams that these linebackers will be free hitters as long as they can make the play. Now, I will agree with you that JOK personally, the stuff that he did last year, the way he got under guards, the way that he foot fake guys, it was unbelievable. Me and McNuggets broke the film down over the season last year, and dude is a freak. Like, he was doing some amazing things. But is that because the D-line was good, or is that because he was that great? I agree that he was really that great, but I can't take away from the fact that D-line played really good.
Sure. Nobody does any of these things in a vacuum. There's always other factors, but
and I agree with you. I think secondary is more important than linebacker. I agree with that. But here's where I would flip it. I trust Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski to go find another third corner because they've proven they know how to scout defensive backs.
They already have one.
Cam Mitchell. But
like I say, I agree. I think he's really good, but I got to see it for another year.
I don't know that they can find another JOK. I trust them more to find another Greg Newsome than I trust them to find another JOK.
I agree with that.
I agree with that statement too.
Are you worried? Let me ask you this. Let me ask both of you guys this. Are you worried about a little bit? I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but are you worried about a little bit of regression on the D line? Because it's a lot of older guys on there playing some key roles. Like another year, I'm still a little worried. I'm taking a little bit of a step back.
So I think that they are. I think they are more motivated to not do that because they hear. Listen, they're not naive. They got social media. They hear the stuff, and coaches coach very hard. Second half of the season, the last 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
Alex Wright was the only guy we knew.
Right.
That's the only guy.
Yeah.
So for all these guys to be veterans and be all these impactful players, they didn't show up. And in the Texans game, they did not show up. And they look at that. If you're a true player, you're going to look yourself in the mirror and say, I got to live with that because I should have been better. I've been better all season. The moment we needed me the most, I did not show up. So I think that is motivational factor for you to be out there and make this your best year because you got to make up for that. You feel like if you talk to anybody on that Browns team, they'll tell you that we should have won it all. We were equipped. Forget all the injuries. We still had enough to win it all. We were that talented of a team. And they just didn't show up in that moment. So I think that they have that regret, and I think that that's why they're going to be extremely motivated to play this season.
Jason, you worried about regression on the
D-line? A
D-line?
little bit, yeah. Just not Miles. You know what you're going to get out of Miles.
No. But the rest. The others.
I mean, the NFL, I feel like there's more variance year to year than a lot of sports. So, I'm still worried about the spot opposite Miles, the edge rushing spot opposite Miles. I think it's a fair concern.
Yeah. Mikey?
That was a good conversation. I want to give a shout-out to the chat real quick. We have 30 memberships that have been gifted out over today's show. So I just want to give some love to the members in here who are donating memberships to other members. Phil Bowman, Cody Clark, some guy named Earl the Pearl, On Q, and Damian Frederick all gifted 5 memberships this morning. So shout-out to you 5 for being extra generous. We appreciate the support. If you're in the chat, hit the like button. Make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. We're trying to get to 40,000 by our 2-year anniversary in May. Even better if we hit it by our 500th episode coming up next week.
Which hopefully I'll be here for. I'm supposed to be on jury duty next week.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a bummer.
I told you I'd get out of that. You'll be out of that like that.
Wait, what day is the 500th episode?
Next Wednesday, right?
Next Wednesday.
But
we got some
we are less than 700 subscribers away from 40,000. For a little YouTube show, that's pretty darn good. So help us get there. Less than 700 subscribers away from 40,000.
All right, but we're going to do a little change of plans here. Ooh. We're going to talk Jerry Jeudy, then we'll do Cavs after Kyle Krabs. So we'll just get all our Brown stuff in first, then we'll talk draft with Kyle Krabs, Cavs, and Guardians to wrap up the show. But before we talk about Jerry Jeudy and Devontae Smith and how their contracts compare, or in your opinion, don't compare, a quick reminder that it is playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is the place to bet on every single game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Bull, the floor is yours. The Eagles and Devonta Smith signed a contract extension yesterday.
Yeah.
In a similar vein to how the Browns reworked Jerry Jeudy's deal, but you say not so fast. Well, they really are not apples and apples.
Because I saw Quincy Carrier, who does a great job. He's got a huge following covering the Browns. But I saw Quincy saying that the Eagles get credit for this and the Browns get criticism. it's not an apples-to-apples conversation. If you ask Eagles fans what they think of Devontae Smith through 3 years, they love it.
Great.
He's been very good.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy was a huge disappointment in Denver. Now, to be fair, Denver, obviously Philadelphia has had better quarterback play with Jalen Hurts, but Philly is a run-first team. Mm-hmm. They run the ball a ton. They run the ball at a percentage higher than probably almost any team in the NFL. So it's not like Devontae Smith is getting, and plus they got A.J. Brown there.
Yeah.
So it's not like he's getting crazy opportunities. Devontae Smith has been a way better player to start his career than Jerry Jeudy.
Yes.
I don't think it's really that close.
No, it's not.
It ain't.
And so to say, well, it's not fair to criticize the Browns and yet people are praising the Eagles. Well, first of all, the Eagles have been a winning organization. They've gone to 2 Super Bowls. They've won a Super Bowl. The Browns have won 1 playoff game in decades. So it's not an apples-to-apples comparison, and the players are not apples-to-apples. Even saying that, though, I don't think there was that much criticism outside of Denver for the Jerry Jeudy contract. I thought they paid him a little too much and should have waited, but it's not like I was killing them already. Was anybody killing the Browns for Jerry Jeudy? I don't think anybody was killing him. I didn't love the contract.
Yeah, I didn't kill him. I thought it was a little premature, but
but
I mean,
does anybody disagree that Devontae Smith is significantly better than Jerry Jeudy?
Yeah, no,
it's not even close.
Yeah, I don't. What was Jerry's money? He got He just got 75.
How do the contracts compare,
guaranteed.
Mike?
So Jeudy got $58 million. That included the 5th-year option that got picked up, which is the same thing that the Devonta Smith contract included. $41 million guaranteed. Steve, take tagboard here to show him. Devontae got $75 million, $51 guaranteed. So a little more money, but you're paying for a more productive player.
Way more.
I would take the Devontae contract and player over the Jeudy contract and player.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's what, like $20 million versus $25 million?
On annual average.
Yeah.
I just didn't understand extending a guy before he played 1 snap for you, before he did anything at all for you.
Right.
And again, I say it all the time, what message are you sending the players? What message are you sending Amari and Elijah Moore that you trade for this guy and you pay this guy and elevate him basically above the two of you?
Yeah. Especially Amari. I mean, Elijah
Moore,
who cares?
But still, it's a guy who played for you for a year.
Right.
And Amari, I don't know if Amari's at the age, I don't know if he's going to get the deal.
No,
but I understand it from the team perspective. I just think it sends a bad message to the guys who were here last year.
And by the way, real quick, Tyvis, that's another huge difference in these two things, is that Devontae Smith has been an Eagle. They know him.
Yes. Yeah.
They know his work ethic. They know his attitude. They know everything about him. The Browns don't know anything about Jerry Jeudy. Nothing. So, again, not a bad comparison.
My only issue with the Jerry Jeudy deal was, one, I always say you never pay a guy before he takes a snap for you. You know, so far, like you would like to point out, the D-Watt thing wasn't good, and I think about the Russell Wilson thing that wasn't good. So I always say, well, I wouldn't pay a guy unless I need to see him out there on Sunday to see how he fits.
You mean if he's already signed? Because you signed free agent.
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
But once you've traded
like
for
a guy that has, we got to pay him next year.
Right.
We traded for him, we got to pay him next year. I would wait to see.
Yeah.
And it's something that I would negotiate middle of the season. If things are trending up, boom, give him the contract. But my thing is, I didn't like them paying him. The other reason I didn't like them paying him is because I thought it took away the hunger. The hunger that all 3 of them had was the final years of their deal.
Yeah.
So all 3 of them was going to go out there and be hungry and make plays and do all this stuff because they want to essentially
fight for my love.
Yes. 2 of y'all.
Right.
We going to pay 2 of y'all, the other one's out. Like that's what it would have been.
Right.
And I think that you would have got great production out of all 3 of them for them being such competitors. And I think when you gave him the deal, you kind of took that away from him. Like, now, don't get me wrong. Jeudy seems like the type of guy he wants to prove that he's worth the money, so he's still going to play motivated. But I just think it would have been better. If I ain't got the money, I play totally different knowing that I got $45 million coming my way than I got potentially nothing.
Yeah. And you know, the Watson situation, that was different. Like, he had options, and the Browns had to give him a bigger contract to get him. Otherwise, he wasn't coming here.
Yeah.
So that was a unique circumstance. And people say, well, what about, you guys didn't like the David Njoku contract. But again, we didn't. I know I didn't at the time, and it turns out.
We thought it was an overpay.
We thought it was an overpay. But I understood why they wanted to give him a new contract at that point, and he had been here.
Right.
They knew him. There was no reason to give Jerry Jeudy an extension. None.
And football is different from other sports because people say, well, you do it in basketball. You trade for a guy and then extend him. But football, I think we've already established, scheme. It's so much different. A guy can go from looking like a jag to a star in football much more than any other sport.
And the people who are apologists for Jeudy and the Browns are like, well, what if he has a breakout season? Then it would have cost you even more. Well, okay.
I'm willing to. In this instance, I'm willing to take that.
Because, like I said, if that was the case,
he hasn't had one yet.
If he was trending in that direction, I would literally sign him like maybe game 5. If he's doing well in the first 4 games, game 5. That way, before you take all the way off, we're gonna give you this money now, and it ain't as much. Like that's.
Let's hope it.
But I have to see, because last year we were talking Elijah Moore. Oh, he's gonna fit in here. Kevin's gonna get him this. Blah 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 blah. He's gonna have this type of numbers. He gets the ball out of the backfield. He can bring this aspect to it. And then we got there Sunday, and it didn't materialize into a lot. So.
Right.
Like I said, I hope Judy's totally different. I'm praying that he is, and I know he probably will be, but it's always that little doubt in the back of my mind because of what just happened last year.
And to be fair to Jerry Jeudy, he's obviously been more productive than Elijah Moore was with the Jets.
Yes.
But not productive enough, especially considering where he was drafted and what the expectations were for him coming out of college. He's been a disappointment to this point in his career. I don't think there's any debate there. All right, Mike, what do we got?
So I put in the poll real quick.
Yeah.
Better deal, Jeudy or Devonta Smith? What do you think the results are?
I mean, it should be 100-0.
Better? Who got the better deal? Like, or what team?
What's better value?
The question was better deal, question mark. Jeudy
it should
Smith?
be 100% Smith for Devonta Smith, but knowing our fan base, it's going to be 55-45 Devonta Smith.
No. It's going to be 70-30 Devonta Smith.
No chance.
I'll say 55-45 Jerry Jeudy.
Oh, you're even going further. Go ahead.
And Jason nailed it. 53% Jeudy, 47% Smith. Quick poll, only 182 votes. But.
Oh, my God.
Why are you surprised? Why are you surprised?
Because he expected better.
I mean.
It's less money. It's less money. They're going to say it's a better deal.
By the way, every time the Browns sign somebody, and we say it's too much, too much money, they're like, it's not your money, which I just said before, not your money. But now, it's too much money. Let me tell you something. Okay? And nobody's going to disagree with me here.
Sure.
Nobody. When did the Browns trade for Jerry Jeudy? When was that? Like March what? Early March, right?
March 9th or 10th.
Okay. In February, if I were to come on the air here and said, okay, here's the deal, guys. We can have Devonta Smith. Let's La Land say they're both free agents. We could have Devonta Smith for $75 million or Jerry Jeudy for $48 million.
Which one are you taking?
100% of the fans, Mike, 100% would have taken Devonta Smith. But because Jerry Jeudy's already on the Browns, now people are going to con themselves into believing that they'd rather have Jerry Jeudy. That's outlandish. It's absurd. And I think Earl should apologize for all the people.
I'm not apologizing at all. See, my fellow Browns fans understand, man. Jerry Jeudy now rock the brown and orange. Everybody else is a op. That's just as simple as it goes these days.
Would you have so you're saying you would have been one of these people that voted for Jerry Jeudy?
I sure would have.
Which one would you rather take in
Earl,
February?
You've learned nothing, Earl.
Which one would you rather have in February, Jerry Jeudy or Devonta Smith?
Jason, I'll talk to you after the show.
And that is a great segue to bring in our next guest after a quick word from Game Time. Have you ever had a frustrating time buying tickets, especially at the last minute, whether it's an NFL game, an NBA game, or especially a Major League Baseball game, well, you're in luck because Game Time is here to make your entire life and process even easier. Game Time is an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which makes getting tickets faster, easier, and more seamless, especially on the Game Time app, because prices go down the closer it gets to first pitch. Game Time has killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from their seat, and their lowest price guarantee. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying Major League Baseball tickets. They have last-minute deals, flash deals, zone deals, all-in pricing, and their Game Time ticket coverage. Make sure your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the entire ticketing industry. Take all the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Once again, just create an account, redeem promo code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And with that, we welcome in Kyle Krabs, co-host of the NFL Draft podcast on the Locked On Network, to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Kyle, appreciate you taking some time to hang out with us today, man.
Happy Tuesday. How we doing, guys?
Good, Kyle. Did you hear the craziness from our fans? Were you listening?
I just caught the tail end about anybody not Jerry Jeudy being the ops, which I think is the right frame of mind for the middle of April.
I guess, but I'm just still stunned by the fact that our fans said they'd rather have Jerry Jeudy over Devontae Smith. Now, Devontae Smith's getting paid more, but that's kind of crazy, isn't it?
I would be inclined to agree. I think Devonta Smith's first 3 seasons in the NFL, as for 2 of those not being the primary receiver in the passing game, still putting up the numbers that he has, is probably at this point where I would hedge my bets as far as long-term who the better player would be between the two. But I really like Jerry Jeudy's fit within this Cleveland offense, and I think Browns fans have plenty of reason to be excited. But if you're measuring him against Devontae Smith, give me Devontae Smith.
100%. I think we all agree that Jerry Jeudy has potential that's untapped and that maybe he will reach it here. And so let's go with that. I mean, we thought, pre the Jerry Jeudy trade, we all assumed wide receiver would be the priority for the Browns in this draft. And now maybe not so much. I think the Browns are kind of in a position here where they could go best player available, but maybe picking at, 58? 54?
54.
Maybe picking at 54, maybe that best player will be a wide receiver. What do you think?
Yeah, I really admire the position that Cleveland finds themselves in as far as how they can approach this draft, just because when you're talking about a 4th pass rusher or a 4th wide receiver or a linebacker as being the most pressing needs on your roster, you've got yourself in a pretty ideal situation for coming into a draft, especially one where you don't have a first-round pick, where it takes some of that hurt off of not having that pick because you feel like your starters are pretty well established. And for Cleveland specifically, you hope that you have a little bit better injury fortunes than what that team did last year. You acknowledge the games that team managed to win and say, hey, if the ball bounces our way a couple different places, who knows where we can find ourselves in 2024. And let the board come to you. Every year there's players that fall into the middle and end of the second round who you're surprised to find out are still there. And Cleveland would be wise in my mind just because of how full I think this roster is from top to bottom to take advantage of those opportunities and just draft those players as they come to you.
Kind of along those lines, we did an exercise on the show yesterday using the ESPN Draft Simulator. Who would you take at 54? And Benson came up for me from Texas, and I had no interest really. I hadn't really thought about taking a running back at that spot, but given the uncertainty of Nick Chubb, it's kind of made sense. So I'm sorry, Brooks from Texas, and then Benson from Florida State. Would either one of those guys make sense, do you think, going the running back route for the Browns in the second round?
Well, I think when you consider what was done to Nick Chubb's contract and the fact that he is coming off of an injury, and then Nyheim Hines, Donta Foreman, and John Kelly are in the last year of their deals, and Jerome Ford has 1 year after this, there's a lot of potential attrition in that room after this season. So even if it's not a immediate 2024 high-volume ball carrier for you, as you get ready to make some salary cap decisions, as I believe Cleveland's number one in the NFL in cash spending right now by like $30 million versus any other team. When you get to next offseason, you can make that strategic decision. So, yeah, I would say running back, I like those two that you mentioned. Benson from Florida State and Brooks from Texas are my two favorite backs in this class, along with Blake Corum from Michigan. But those two guys that you mentioned have the kind of explosiveness and big play ability to go with some physicality as they run that I think gives them a little bit more of an edge to Blake Corum, who's a little bit more visions and feel and instincts for me, but doesn't necessarily have the home run hitting ability that those other two guys do.
We're a little gun shy about Michigan players.
Understandably,
They've been kicking our ass for the last few years, so I don't know if we want them here, Tyvis. No.
I actually listen.
I'm kidding.
I don't have a problem with Blake Corum, and on top of that, they didn't kick my butt. So anyway, with that,
you got your gold pants.
With that being said, I want to talk about the offensive line. Obviously, we got guys that's aging. Joe Bitonio, Wyatt is always banged up, and then left tackle is another spot. Jed Wills is in the final year, and they picked up his fifth-year option. Do you think it's some guys that make sense to be a second-round pick at 54 with left tackle or maybe guard?
I think the intrigue for the offensive line group getting into the range where Cleveland is scheduled to pick is I got about a dozen guys that you feel like could be plug-and-play starters. I think most of the guys getting into that middle second-round range are probably interior guys, whether that's Jordan Morgan from Arizona, Cooper Beebe from Kansas State. Those two guys have played tackle in college. I think they're guards at the next level. Tyler Guyton is maybe in that stratosphere as more of a project developmental tackle type. Jackson Powers Johnson feels like he's sliding a little bit. He was a center for Oregon last year, but at 330 pounds has really good open field blocking ability to go with good vertical displacement in the run game. So you're going to have kind of this question of just when the run starts. And if the run starts early, if you get some of these guys that maybe push up in the first round, you might be out of luck if you're hoping for the board to break favorably for you. But if these other positions like wide receivers loaded this year, is that where some of these teams that are playoff contenders go with their first round pick? And if so, that means the tier 2 run on offensive line comes later. I think you could have feasibly somebody with guard tackle flexibility that has at least played both of those spots in college that could make it to you in the mid-50s.
Kyle, I think. Oh, sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Every different outlet has their perfect fits, perfect scenarios that the draft board fell exactly how Team X would want this player would be available. And PFF this morning put out their perfect fits for day 2 for each AFC North team. Browns fit was linebacker Junior Colston from Michigan. Just curious, what do you think about Colston's potential fit with the Cleveland Browns if he was available on day 2 for Andrew Berry and company to select?
So Colson's a fun player. He's prototypical build. He's got the movement skills to play in space. He's got good sideline-to-sideline range. But if you were going to ask me for a linebacker that I would love to see in Cleveland, I would go with a guy in Peyton Wilson from NC State who has a little bit of a medical question that would allow him to get to that middle of the second round. But Peyton Wilson's tape this year was phenomenal. I think he's a more complete player than what Junior Colston is. It's again, just he's had a couple shoulder injuries. He's had a couple lower body knee injuries, but he's been healthy the last 2 seasons for NC State. And he's got explosive range. His instincts are off the charts. He's not maybe as big and stout deconstructing blocks as what Junior Colston is, but I'd give Wilson the edge in just about every other category. So that's, again, if value on the board is going to fall to you and you're Cleveland and you feel like, hey, this is a potential to address a position of need, and simultaneously it's a player from a value perspective that shouldn't be here but is because of medicals, I'd be a little bit more inclined to take that in stride and take who I think is the better player in Peyton Wilson.
Kyle, a lot of people seem to think now that we'll see 4 quarterbacks go off the board to start the draft. I'm convinced that all the quarterbacks in that group will be busts outside of Caleb Williams.
I'm with you. I don't like this.
I don't like any of the other 3. There is zero. J.J. McCarthy is Kenny Pickett and Mac Jones. Mark it down right now. He's the same quarterback. Daniels and May. All 3 are bust. Buying or selling that?
I would be inclined to buy that less will be successful than will be not successful. I think McCarthy, the thing that he has going for him is if he goes to Minnesota with that supporting cast, I think that would be the kind of environment for a quarterback like that to go in early and not be asked to do too much or have too much pressure, because you have Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson and a good offensive line with a good coaching staff that I think stylistically fits. But teams bust on players just as frequently as players bust on teams. And if you're telling me Drake May, who's all kinds of rough around the edges and likes to win outside of structure, but the consistency and the timing and anticipation and ball placement in his offense, going to New England, throwing to Tom, Dick, and Harry is not a good blend for me for an environment for a young quarterback that needs a stability to be successful. And I'm worried about that with Washington, with all of the football operations changes that they have made. I think Chicago's very well equipped to take a quarterback, but if you're telling me the quarterback's at 2 and 3, I'm kind of leery about it, and then it depends on where that fourth one goes and what his situation is.
Kyle, I see that. I couldn't help but notice that you're a huge Miami Dolphins fan here.
What gave it away?
I just, Anyways, I want to ask you about Tua. Are you comfortable with Tua? I think that he's being scheduled to be paid soon. Should they pay him, or do you think that they should go in another direction? And also, isn't Tyreek Hill retiring after this year? Ain't this his last season?
So Tyreek's got 2 years left on his deal.
Okay.
And his last year, he's scheduled to get $46 million in cash. So they'll do something with that before that comes one way or another. Because I think it's interesting. They have not touched his contract this offseason as far as salary cap or restructuring or anything like that. So I think that's at least interesting from Tyreek's perspective. As far as Tua goes, I think they're still trying to find the best optimization of playing to his strengths, which he didn't really get in his first 2 seasons, and that's the unfortunate product of the coaching staff changes. Is now you have to make this financial decision before you've maximized the full term of a rookie quarterback contract. So I think he deserves to get more years in Miami. If you're telling me he's getting the Joe Burrow dollars, that's probably an area where you feel pretty uncomfortable, but we'll see what kind of dollars they ultimately end up coming to. It feels like a matter of when, not if, with that decision. I know he's got great rapport with Mike McDaniel, and the question is what Miami can do to kind of give their offense more pitches when what their bread and butter is doesn't work.
Speaking of Mike McDaniel, Kyle, last year he was known to smoke a joint or two on the sideline. Will he take it up a notch this year? Will there be any cocaine, maybe some crack? I don't know.
It's Miami,
heroin,
too,
heroin.
They like to have a good time in South Beach. I think they'll probably keep it pretty subtle with the jewel, maybe, but that'll probably be it.
All right. Hey, that could have been worse. I was going to ask a question, an inappropriate question with Deshaun Watson versus Tyreek Hill. That would have been even worse. But anyway, back to the draft. Who's a guy in the first round that's not being talked about a ton, like maybe not the big receivers or the quarterbacks? Another guy that you think is going to go top 20 that's under the radar a little bit that you think is going to be a great player?
I think Quinyon Mitchell has a chance to be a total stud at corner from Toledo. And he's kind of the consensus top corner. I know the Alabama kids in Terry and Arnold and Kool-Aid McKinstry are getting a lot of love, and Nate Wiggins is a great athlete at Clemson. But give me the small school kid in Quinyon Mitchell for the fact that he's big, long, physical, he can run. He went down to the Senior Bowl and showcased that he could play more variety in his coverage to what he was asked to do at Toledo, where he had a chance to play in people's faces and play press. I think he's a universal corner and a guy who can tackle and has a good appetite for the physical components on the perimeter, especially in today's game where you're trying to limit explosive plays and you're playing with those 2 high safeties to kind of cap the offense. The ability to tackle underneath and particularly outside the numbers along the perimeter is essential. And I think Quinyon Mitchell can be a really, really high-level corner at the NFL level, even though he played at Toledo.
I'll go the other way. There's always 1 or 2 dudes left in the green room and the uncomfortable camera shots. Who do you think is in danger of plummeting?
Jackson Powers Johnson had a big-time buzz for being a first-round pick in February and early March. And if you pay attention to the forecasters, a lot of the insiders of the big networks, they've cooled on his name a lot. And I think for the casual fan that was so used to in mock draft season, putting Jackson Powers Johnson to Seattle at 16 or Jacksonville at 17 or Miami at 21 or Pittsburgh at 20. Like, you have this laundry list of teams from 16 to 24, Dallas at 24, that Jackson Powers Johnson was just, they need the center, go ahead, lock him in. I wouldn't be surprised if he's not the first, if he isn't the first center off the board with Zach Frazier from West Virginia. And then potentially if a team were to draft Graham Barton and intend to play him at center, which he did early in his career at Duke, you could potentially see Jackson Powers Johnson slide into the middle of the second round.
Everybody, I'm from Ohio State, so I got to ask you this question. Everybody knows about Marvin Harrison, but another guy that I want to talk about is Mike Hall Jr., the defensive tackle. Where do you see him? Because I know coming into the draft or coming into the offseason, he was like 3rd or 4th round pick, but then he did well at the Senior Bowl. Where do you have him at right now?
I think he's a fringe 2-3 type of player where this kind of second tier of interior defensive linemen after Johnny Newton in Illinois and Byron Murphy from Texas, it's kind of no man's land where what's your flavor, what do you want? And if you want maybe a little bit of an undersized penetrator, but a guy that has some length to his game and I think has showcased pretty good pass rush menu for the ways in which he can beat you with his hands to get penetration in the pocket, even if necessarily the sack numbers weren't where you would want them to be for a top pass rusher on the inside. I think he's in that conversation for a tier 2 guy. And I know Fisk from Florida State ran the 4.78 at 300 pounds, so everybody's oohing and ahhing over that. But he's got like the 12th shortest arms in combine history for an interior defensive lineman at 30-inch arms. So that kind of stuff does matter a little bit for the timing, particularly inside, and how and when you can throw your hands and what's your sphere of influence to be able to have that timing instead of letting offensive linemen get up into your chest. And I think Hall's got a big edge there. And I think he has more variety of ways in which he can beat you. He is maybe a little bit of a pass rush specialist early, but I think he can develop into a 3-down interior defensive lineman. And with the athletic ability that he has and then some length and pass rush skills, those guys usually don't wait too long. So I think he's a fringe second-round guy.
The Browns should take him. There it is.
Yeah, 3rd round.
They should take
Second
him
round.
and switch him and Ika. There you go. That's what you should do.
Switch him.
Yeah, like
Cuddy.
rotate them.
9 days, 8 hours away from the draft finally being upon us. Kyle, appreciate it, man. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure, guys. It was good talking ball with you.
Yep. Take care. It's going to be. I feel like all of a sudden the draft is upon us. Like
I love the fact that we haven't talked about it.
Yeah, I know.
It's great.
'Cause it used to be we talk about it for months.
Oh, yeah, guess what? I have to work, 7 hours of draft coverage? So day 2, when the Browns pick, I'll be on the Browns radio from 7 to midnight. And then
With who?
Nathan and Ken. Then the next day, I'll be on from 12 to 3, Nathan and Ken. So that's 8 hours, excuse me.
That's a lot to talk about 2 picks.
Because they'll trade out of them?
Second, well, I mean.
No, the 3rd.
No, we got 2/3? Or really got 1/3?
No,
1/3.
Dang, 2 picks, yeah.
There's a lot to talk about.
I don't think that they have 5 picks? I don't think
Five
they're
picks.
taking 5
I thought they have
players.
6 because didn't they just acquire a 7th-round pick?
Oh, they got a 7. No, it's a next year 7th round, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
No.
Is it this year? I thought it was next
for
year.
Leroy Watson?
Yeah.
Oh, is it 2024? Oh, this is 2024.
Yeah.
2024.
Oh, it's this year? I thought it was next year, too. 6.
Got a 7, yeah.
I don't think they're taking 5 players, let alone 6.
They have the, if there's a guy they like higher in the 2nd round that they don't think is going to get to them, they should be aggressive.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
You're not going to trade next year's 1, but
No.
But
2 and 3? Would you do 2
They
and
better
3?
not trade.
Of course.
Why would they? We had a 1st-round pick in so long.
I know.
That ain't even
the
an
Browns
option.
went from like having multiple 1st-round picks many years in a row to having no 1st-round picks many years in a
We
row.
missed on a lot.
If there's a player the Browns like, I'm serious. And Jason, you said you're not sure they're going to roster 4 guys from this draft. Like, hell, I think 4. If the over/under is 3.5.
No,
I
5.
might even take the 3.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I may take the 3. There's just not a ton of
Open spots.
open spots for rookies. So
Yeah.
if you really like a guy and you
Yeah.
come out of this draft with one guy you really, really like, maybe higher in the 2nd round, and you have to package 2, 3, and 6 to move up and get it, so be it. There's just
Unless
not a
they
lot
get
of spots
carried
for these
away.
guys.
It's not like they have superstars at every depth spot.
You could, yeah.
There's roster spots there. Come on.
Wait,
there's some.
where?
There's not a ton, but there's some.
What are you talking? I still think that they do need to think about this defensive tackle thing because all your defensive tackles are older than
you. Got all old guys in defensive tackle. They are deep. I give you that.
But I'm saying, what if it's a defensive tackle you trade up for?
I would.
As opposed to filling your roster with 6th or 7th round.
They only have 2 sure spots at linebacker. That's it.
Yeah, who is the backup linebacker?
Tony Fields and a bunch of undrafted
Devin
guys.
Bush. Tony Fields, Devin Bush. Devin Bush was a first-round pick.
First-round pick, yeah.
Yeah, but he's a long shot at this point. I mean, you know.
Oh, don't say that because Jerry Jeudy was.
There's some depth spots on the offensive line, the back end of the wide receiving core. They could add at least 1 tight end, if not 2. I mean, yes, the Browns have a good roster. Don't get me wrong, but it's not like they couldn't find spots for 4 draft picks or 5 draft picks.
But that's what I'm saying. But it's not going to be a giant haul of rookies. They had 7 or 8.
Well, it shouldn't be.
Last season.
You know, they've sucked for so long that they finally started drafting better, and now they have better talent. Yeah. So that's good.
It is good.
But,
it is good. Speaking of not as good, the pressure the Cavs are under, and Bull, we're going to let you get your rant off because you missed yesterday's show. But first, today's show, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's the first thing you'd do if you had an extra hour in a day? Would you go for a run, take a nap, read a book, show it for a friend? A lot of us spend our lives wishing we had more time. The question is, time for what? If time was unlimited, how would you use it? What's the best way to squeeze that special thing into your schedule so you know what's important to you and make it a priority? Therapy can help you find what matters to you so you can do more of it. So if you've been thinking about starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/lockedon today to get 10% off your first month. That is BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedon.
I'm glad we're doing commercials for BetterHelp. This sounds like a great service. There's a lot of people that are scared to go to therapy. There's a lot of people, especially men, that feel like there's a stigma behind therapy. We should all be able to move on from that. Therapy is great if you find the right therapist. So I love that we're doing this. The only thing I'll say about the commercial is that the things you listed of things that you would do with that hour, nobody in this group would do any of those things.
Tyvus would run.
Tyvus just said he doesn't run. I was shocked.
You wouldn't take a nap or read a book?
He said he was at this 4-mile race and he wouldn't run
yesterday.
Wait a minute.
I'm back into it now.
Wait a minute. Back up.
Running?
Wait a minute, because I don't want you spreading false information.
You just said you won't
what
run.
I said was I'm not running the 4-miler anymore.
Why?
I literally just ran yesterday. What's today? Tuesday? I just ran yesterday at the gym. I ran a mile at the gym.
Okay. Yeah. But why won't you run 4 miles?
Because I almost died.
You didn't almost die. You're a former athlete, for crying out loud. You only retired like 8 seconds ago. What are you talking about?
Unless there's a bear or cops chasing me, I don't see the need to run.
Have you run from the cops before?
Don't worry about it.
What are you, Baker Mayfield?
One of those things was read a book.
Read a book. I do.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Not a lot of book reading in general in this group.
That was
anyway,
bad job, Eddie.
Do you see that?
You were just high-fiving people.
I am done.
After you run 4 miles, you're supposed to be tired.
No, because when I was there on Sunday, they had full-blown conversation with these people. Like, they ain't ran nothing.
All right. Well, they weren't going as fast as you went. You probably went too fast.
I don't know what time they was, but I was doing like 12-minute miles. Actually, I started off at 10, then the pace marker lady she got further and further away.
Boy.
Tyvus, I appreciate your running stories, but we got
to move
on. We got two big topics. So, Bull, you're the floor.
Obviously,
you weren't here yesterday.
I'm going to make an admission, okay? I am, every so often, I'm accused of clickbait or trolling. And I will say this, that I have never, ever done clickbait or trolling until yesterday. And I put out a tweet. Now, I do believe what I said there. But I kind of put it out to just be a bit of a pain in the ass.
What did you say?
And it worked because people got mad at me. And some of the reactions were very funny.
What did you say?
You want to read my tweet, Mike? You have it?
Yeah, give me a second. I wasn't planning on
But I
going
am
into
really bothered by what the Cavs did. You see, the Cavs played scared.
I can't read your tweet because you use an F-bomb.
Well,
I'll sum it up.
All right, go ahead.
Quote, Cavs summed up their mostly sad season with whatever the F that was yesterday. Losers lose, Magic in 5.
Yes.
Dang.
Okay?
You said that.
If you lose a game on purpose to avoid an opponent, that means you're a coward.
Who was they avoiding?
I don't even know. They would have played Indiana if they would have won.
That's what I said.
They were trying to avoid Philly and Miami, but mainly Philly.
But you know what? Like, we would all agree that the Cavs are a soft team. Do we agree on that or no?
They have certain markers.
They've been pretty soft, right? Would we say that the New York Knicks, are a tough team?
Yes.
Did the Knicks worry about that? Now, maybe it'll cost them. They said, we don't care. Let's go. We're ready to win. The Cavs, who have played gutless basketball for, 6 weeks? And let's face it, here's the reality. I don't care what their final record is, Jason. They played good basketball for the stretch where they went 18-2. They played really well. The rest of the season, they sucked. They were under 500 the rest of the year.
They had good wins outside of that stretch.
A few here and there.
Yeah, they beat the top teams of the East and West.
They were mostly crap the rest of the season. Under 500 the rest of the year.
They've been wildly inconsistent,
yes.
is how I would put it.
And with Donovan banged up and Darius Garland having a terrible season, to go into the playoffs like a bunch of cowards, an organizational decision to run scared like little babies, they're like the 3 little pigs. The Cavs are the 3 little pigs. They're hiding in their houses from the big bad wolf. Joel Embiid hasn't won. I love Joel Embiid. No, I don't. I mean, I'm okay with him. I'm saying I love him. He's a really good player. He hasn't won a big game ever. When's he won a big game, Joel Embiid?
Never.
Never, Mike. Never. The Sixers, that's who you're scared of? The Sixers? And I love all these Cavs fans. You know, and they're getting mad at me. You don't know basketball. You're right. I don't know basketball that well. But I know this. I'm not a coward. I know the Knicks are not cowards. I know the Cavs are cowards. And I got all these people, all these basketball geniuses saying, well, they're going to, at least they can get to the second round. How dumb. Listen, could the Cavs beat the Magic? Of course they could beat the Magic. To look at the series against the Magic as if this is a guaranteed win for the Cavs.
That's by no means a guaranteed win.
That's a joke.
No,
you got to be kidding me if you think this series is a guarantee.
I do think they have a better odds of beating Orlando than they did Philly. I do believe that.
Fine, but they ran scared, and I don't believe in that. I think going into the playoffs with that mentality of being scared, that's what you're saying. You're saying you're afraid to play a team. That's it. And that is a complete loser mentality, in my opinion.
Well, I agree with a lot of what you said.
Thank you.
But like I was on the radio with Earl yesterday, and like I told him, I'm 30 years old now, so I see things from both sides. Okay. So from an organization, from a Cavs organization, how can you make this season be a successful season? Well, make it to the second round.
I don't think that's successful.
That's a very successful season.
You think so?
Last year they were lost in the first. The year before that they were in the play-in. The year before that they weren't even a thought. So to say that to go in there and be able to say, we've progressed every season. We made it to the second. It doesn't matter.
No, it's real.
You can literally say we've progressed every year. We haven't taken no steps back because we are in the second round this year. We might have lost in the second round, but we made it to the second round. So I think that's the way you look at it. You look at this team and you say they're wildly inconsistent. So why would I go put them up against a team? Listen, fact of the matter is, as a Cavs fan, you want to see your team playing first and the second round anywhere after that. You don't really want their season to be over. So why would you put them up against a juggernaut, quote unquote, the 76ers?
The 76ers, first of all, we don't know that they play the 76ers. The 76ers got to beat the Heat.
Yeah, and as it wound up, they would have played the Pacers.
And they wouldn't even have played them. Right, they would have played the Pacers.
So what? At the end of the day, they wanted to go with a guarantee.
But it's not a guarantee.
They wanted to go with a guarantee. No, not a guaranteed win, but a guaranteed favorable matchup. That's what they wanted to go with.
What did the Cavs do against Orlando this year?
2-2.
Split 2-2.
So why are the Cavs? They're not a big favorite in the series.
Because if you look at it from
a minus 195 to win the series.
If you look at it from a standpoint, if you look at it from this standpoint, against the Magic, they are the more veteran team. They have more playoff experience. The Magic
won one playoff game.
That's fine. They have playoff experience and they have veteran experience. On top of all of that, the Magic is just a younger version of what the Cavs were. They're young. They don't have a playoff experience. They don't understand that it's a different tone in the playoffs.
That's all true.
So you could take advantage of those.
And that's fine, Tyvis, but it doesn't take away the fact
that
they ran scared.
But I'm with you because I'm on a champion's mentality. If I want to be the best, I'm going to beat the best. I don't care who you put in front of me. I'm a dominant. They're not.
I agree. You're a winner, they're losers.
From that standpoint, I agree, which is why I say I'm Switzerland. I say all that to say I'm on both sides of the fence.
With the Seahawks that you were on, with the San Francisco 49ers that you played for,
we were terrible.
Oh, they were terrible.
Yeah, we were terrible.
But let's say the Seahawks. You were on a good team in Seattle.
Yes.
Can you imagine if Pete Carroll went ambling over to Richard Sherman and said, hey, listen, I think we should lose this last game so we can play the Rams in the playoffs instead of the 49ers?
I don't think that conversation will go well, but I have been on the opposite end where they say we should lose this game because we want a better draft pick.
That's a different story. I don't really love that either, but that's different. That's a different story.
Listen,
you're not trying to win anything.
We're 4-11.
Yeah.
What do we get if we win this game? Absolutely nothing. But if we lose this game, we get a higher draft pick.
But do the players care about that?
They disguise it in ways that you don't even can't really tell what's going on.
Jason, let's say
here are the facts.
Facts.
And this is repeating a little bit what I said yesterday, but Dan Gilbert has never won a playoff series without LeBron. Fact. If the Cavs lose in the first round, regardless of the opponent, everybody's getting fired.
But aren't they getting fired either way?
No.
If they lose to Boston in the second round, they're not getting fired? One series win over Orlando is going to keep their jobs?
Here's the thing. If they lose in the first round,
yeah.
If they win a series, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. If they lose in the first round, I got a pretty good idea. JB's getting fired. Donovan's going to force his way out.
Right.
And then Kobe's going to get fired.
Yeah.
So there's some – if they win a first-round series, Tyvis is right. You can disagree with how much it means, but the fact is, I said this yesterday, they went from a non-playoff team to a play-in team, to a first-round team, to a second-round team, if they win a series.
But don't the good teams make bigger jumps than that over that amount of time?
Not necessarily. I mean, here's the counter to that, is you didn't trade for Donovan Mitchell just to win a playoff series.
Exactly.
And that's why that Donovan trade could end up being the downfall for Kobe, which was it was a gamble. It was an all-in move.
And we loved it.
And it was a risk to take, and I understood why they took it. He fit age-wise with what they had. He fit with where they were going. They wanted a veteran to sort of lead them. It made a ton of sense. But it was a gamble, and not all gambles work out. And if there is no Donovan trade and this team stays status quo and they lose in the second round, nobody's upset.
That's right. That's true.
But it's the trade that sped up the timeline, that added the pressure, that did everything else, and it's the trade that could ultimately be the downfall of some of the people that work over there right now. So you could say everything you just said. The fact is they have better odds of beating Orlando than they would have Philly or Miami. There's better odds. I'm not saying they're going to win, by the way. I do think they will, but it's by no means a lock. If they lose in the first round, there's a lot of changes in that building.
And now it's even worse because you lost to Orlando.
Well, yeah. Now it's for sure.
Yeah.
But if you win a series and you advance, we have to see how it plays out at that point. I can't give you a definitive answer.
You got Cavs in 6. I got Orlando in 5. Who you got? What do you got, Jason?
I said yesterday it's going to be – I don't think I made a call in games. I do think the Cavs win the series, but it's a rock fight. Like, this is not going to be Cavs roll. Like, I think it's going at least 6, if not 7.
Mike.
If you guys want to hear some in-depth real basketball talk and not are you scared or not scared basketball talk, make sure you guys tune into the Ultimate Cavs show tonight at 5 o'clock.
Was that not a legitimate conversation?
It is. We just did the exact same one yesterday, which you weren't here for.
I apologize.
But we're going to do a little film breakdown on how to stop Paolo Banchero. We're going to do our top 10 players in the series draft. Jason and I are going to look into some keys to the Cavs' victory. So
is Paolo Banchero number 1?
No.
Why?
Because Donovan Mitchell exists.
But Donovan Mitchell's not healthy.
Donovan Mitchell is pretty damn healthy against Indiana and had 10 days off between that game and when he'll play again on Saturday against Orlando.
Mitchell, I think, will be.
You think he'll be all right?
Yeah.
All right, well, that's positive. Who you got winning the series?
I have the Cavs. I'm not sure exactly how many games yet, but I do think, and I said this yesterday, the Cavs have the best player, a better roster, more playoff experience, and home court advantage.
No excuse for losing.
4 things. That's what he's saying. There's no excuses.
I just don't know. I just don't think they have the heart or the guts or the coaching.
I agree with Mike. I think that they have the better roster.
It's close.
We're going to do a draft today.
Yeah.
I was reading something if he said that already. We're going to do a draft during
he mentioned that real quick. Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's going to be a lot closer than people realize in terms of, like, I think.
Did you do your top 10 yet, Jason, just for yourself?
Come on, it's 12:30.
That means no.
Yeah, I'll do it 4.
That means no.
4:15.
I did my top 10, and I struggled on a couple of these, just a heads up.
Yeah.
It is closer. It's closer than it appears on paper.
Like, Donovan's number 1, but I don't know when the next Cavs player goes. Like, it ain't 2. I'm not sure it's 3.
Paulo.
Fair?
Franz Wagner.
I'm not going to give it. We got tuned in at 5 o'clock to find out.
5 o'clock, the ultimate.
I haven't done the
show.
list yet, but, I mean, Orlando's good, and they're big. And that's what gives the Cavs problems is big teams. So
I will say this, as down as I am on the team, and as much as I've been angry and I admit trolling a little bit.
You go watch it.
I am actually excited to watch games that
playoff
matter.
basketball.
Yes.
Yeah, you said you wasn't watching nothing until now. So.
I haven't watched the last.
Hey, you can crap on the NBA regular season. The playoffs are phenomenal.
Playoffs are great.
Phenomenal. It's like college basketball. Regular season doesn't matter. March Madness is terrific.
And the play-ins tomorrow. Tonight?
Western Conference play-ins tonight.
Oh, that's right.
Who's the guy on ESPN that said that the Lakers should lose so they don't have to play the Nuggets?
That's Mike Greenberg.
He is out of his mind because, if anything, they should try to blow the Pelicans out because wasn't it that coach that said something about LeBron after they won it all last year?
Mike Malone?
Malone, who was his guy.
Yeah.
They were close.
And he was the one that was talking trash to him.
What did he say?
I forgot what he said, but he won the championship, and his mind was on LeBron.
He took a shot at LeBron, which I was shocked. I was really shocked that he said that. But Mike's fiery. Do you remember what he said, Mike? He said something.
He essentially just said he was sick of that no matter – the Nuggets swept the Lakers, and every story was LeBron has triple-double, ... but Nuggets win.
And even after the Nuggets won the series, it was about LeBron might
That's
retire.
true. That the way that series was covered was pathetic, but that's just the media. I mean, that's the way the media, the national media is. It's the Cowboys and the Lakers and the Yankees. I mean, baseball doesn't have as much of the stage, but the Cowboys and Lakers get all the talk.
But Mike and LeBron were really tight when they were in Cleveland together.
I like that, though.
So, I mean, Mike.
I don't like that everybody's so scared to say anything to LeBron.
Me and LeBron used to go at it all the time.
That is the series that we want.
We used to go at it all the time.
I want to see LeBron go up against
I don't like that LeBron has his ass kissed by everybody. I like that you push him. Your ass kissed all the time.
Ty Lue used to go at him all the time.
Right. That's why he was a good coach.
You got to just tell it like it is.
Right.
Just tell it like it is.
Speaking of which, real quick.
And then we're talking Guardians, so
I know. Let me transition to baseball. 60 seconds before I talk about the Guardians.
Go.
The manager of the Astros is a guy named Ron Washington. Ron Washington is an old school baseball player, middle infield. You remember Ron Washington?
Oh yeah, played for the Indians.
Played for the Indians, right? He was a manager. He had some drug problems. He left the game briefly, and then he'd been a coach. He was one of the most respected baseball men out there. And because he had a drug problem last time he was a manager, even though he was a really good manager and he's been a great coach, great infield coach, base running coach, he finally got another opportunity to be the manager of the Angels. And he was being interviewed on MLB radio by my guy Mike Ferrin today, and it was so fascinating hearing him talk about, he's like, we got young players. When they mess up, I got to call them out. I got to keep it real. We can't be coddling these young guys. These athletes are getting too coddled. Because there was a situation with Joe Adell, a young outfielder on the Angels. Yeah. He didn't slide into a base. He kind of overran the base. And he was pissed, and Ron Washington called him out in the media. And he's like, I don't look at it as calling out. I look at it as telling the truth.
But that's an old school guy with a generation of kids who don't like that.
You know what, though? I bet you they respond to him.
We'll see.
I hope it works. I'm rooting. I don't like the Angels, but I'm rooting for them because I like him a lot, and I thought it was fascinating. Now, speaking of managers, Stephen Vogt. I killed the guy on opening day.
Did you?
On opening day, just because I didn't like that Austin Hedges was in the lineup on opening day.
Oh.
And then there was the weird thing with the bunt. I can't remember the whole situation.
That was against the A's. Shit.
But I got to say that Stephen Vogt has done an excellent job for 16 games. And the Guardians have their best record to start a season through 16 games since 2011. And, of course, 2011, the season went down the tubes in a hurry. Remember that team?
Matt Lawton.
Now this team's much more talented. Zach
I think that was the Matt Lawton team.
Yes. Zach and I were talking about the team. He mentioned Shelley Duncan.
Oh, God.
Which was a good pull.
Yeah.
And Ezekiel Carrera, maybe?
Yeah. They were trying to rebuild. They got off to a hot start.
Right. They were like 35-15 or some crazy start. And then that was it. Because that was the year I moved here. And I moved here in August. I moved here in July, but we went on the air in August. I remember we knew we were going to start the radio station when baseball season started, so I was following the Indians closely that year. And when I thought they were going to suck like everybody else did in the beginning of the year, and they got off to this great start. And then, of course, the whole summer they were terrible.
Yeah.
But this team's more talented than that. But first of all, kudos to Stephen Vogt, who so far in his rookie season as manager, I think has done a heck of a job.
Lineups, bullpens,
keeping guys fresh. The bullpen he's done a really nice job with.
Pressing all the right buttons. And hand up, I was not a David Fry fan, but
he's done a nice job.
He can play. He can mash lefties, man. He can play.
And he has position. They have some guys with position versatility.
Yeah.
He moved him around a bunch.
Yeah.
He moved Arias and listen, it's only been a couple of days. But Arias, signs of life from Arias these last couple of days.
Yeah.
He hit that bad boy off the back deck.
They did
everything. And from Florial had signs of life, too.
I thought Florial, I said before, I thought him starting both games of that doubleheader was like, this is your chance.
Yeah, I thought he was days away from getting DFA.
I did, too.
And he may still be.
Because Manzardo's coming sooner than later.
Even though he's not off to a particularly good start.
He's still coming.
But he's coming, yes.
But the Arias thing, they tried for years to hand him the starting shortstop job. Well, not years. I shouldn't say that. No. For years, he was considered the heir apparent at that spot.
Yes.
And they tried last year to give it to him, and he just couldn't do it. And Rocchio's done okay. But, I've always been a big Arias fan. He's got a cannon for an arm. And there's a lot of juice in the bat if he can make enough contact.
Well, he sure was a spark yesterday because that game for the first 4 innings.
Well, 6 innings, really.
It was great outfield play. I love the guy robbed Jose. I was mad at that, but it was the outfielders did what they were supposed to do. Infielders made some really good plays. Pitching was Curry reminded me a little bit of McKenzie in his second start. It wasn't a lot of strikeouts, a lot of hits, but the outfields did a really good job.
Well, the Guardians have a good defensive team.
Yeah, he just let
the guys get
exactly. He put the ball in play.
He did a nice job, Curry.
Yes.
Yeah, he did.
I don't think he's going to overpower a lot of lineups.
No.
But they're going to need him.
By the way, the Guardians have to call up Ben Lively tomorrow because of the rain out and the doubleheader. We were saying would it be Curry or Lively, but now they got to call them both up. The question is, and Zach and I were talking about it this morning, and we weren't sure what the answer was, is who's getting off the roster?
I don't know.
He said maybe Eli Morgan. I thought maybe they'd send Curry back down to bring up Lively.
I think that's it. And I told Zach that. You've already burned the option on him,
right?
So just send him back down.
Yeah.
McKenzie's floating around out there. You could come up with something and IL him and give him some time because he has not pitched well.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what they do.
Guardians have the second best record in the American League right now. I think a half game or a game back of the Yankees for the best record in the American League. The doubleheader Saturday was ugly. It was awful. But a nice bounce-back win on Sunday and then to win the day game yesterday, the Patriots day game. And great pitching across the board for the Guardians. The bullpen did a heck of a job. Mm-hmm. What's stunning is, Jason, if I would have said to you when the season started, I wouldn't tell you anything else but this. Nothing else about the team.
I think I know where you're going.
Shane Bieber's done for the season. And Logan Allen, Tanner Bybee, and Tristan McKenzie all have ERAs of 5 or higher. You would have said the Guardians' record would be?
2-14.
Yeah, about
something like that.
About 3 wins right now. Yeah.
2-14.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
The bullpen's been, for the most part, great.
Yep.
And the lineup's been really good. And the Guardians, I believe, are still 5th in baseball and 2nd in the American League in runs per game. Yes, in runs per game. And the defense has been very good for the most part.
Was it windy there yesterday?
I don't know.
It doesn't really get windy in Fenway, Ty, because the Green Monster, the left field bleacher's so high, it blocks out.
I didn't notice anything.
Because they was hitting it, but it was the first time I was like, man, they really don't got a lot of power. They hitting the ball, and but it ain't going where it's supposed to go out the park.
Yeah.
So I was like, maybe it's the wind or something.
I had to go. I was with my wife at the hospital yesterday. She's okay. So I didn't get home until the game was almost over. So I watched the end of the game, And then I went back and did like the rapid fire through the first few innings. I'm skipping all the commercials and stuff.
Yeah, I was here. I was doing the show.
Right. So I didn't get to, I didn't watch it as closely as I normally do the first bunch of innings, but I didn't notice the wind being a big deal.
Yeah, no, I was just, because they was hitting it like, bam, but it just did not travel all the way out. And I was just like, man, maybe we don't got no power like that.
Well, Tyvis, I want to let you know that right now, the Guardians are tied for 12th in Major League Baseball in home runs.
Yes! Woo!
Home runs per game, Mike?
They are 13th.
Hey!
That was
good. That bold prediction was good.
But Tyvis's bold prediction was they finish in the top 15. If you get that right, I'm going to be pretty impressed.
Hey, I said top 5, but I toned it back. So here we go, top 15.
They got to get the starting rotation going.
Yep.
Because the offense, there's still holes there, and they're going to go through some ups and downs.
Yes. Bibby's got to get it going. And it's only
today.
It's only a couple of starts.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about him yet.
Yeah, 593.
Yeah, he's been hit around. But
and the strikeout to walk ratio of the starters is awful.
Yeah, I still think he's going to be okay. I thought Gavin Williams would be a little bit closer than what he is.
Yeah.
He's just now started throwing. He's probably not back till May at this point. I thought he'd been back by now, frankly, the way they were talking. So a little bit of concern there, but if he's throwing, then he's progressing in the right direction.
It's probably 2-3 weeks he'll be back.
He's progressing in the right direction. They really need those two guys more than I even thought that they were going to.
Yeah, big time, because McKenzie,
you can't count on him to
McKenzie
last the
situation is a
season.
huge concern. He should have had the surgery last year, probably. It's easy for me to say it's not my arm.
Right.
But the guys that try to rehab, it just doesn't work.
Well, it's Zach. We mentioned this yesterday.
Yeah.
Zach and I are working on a Tristan story. It'll be out, I think, Thursday. It's going to run. And Aaron Nola is a guy who did pitcher for the Phillies. He's been pitching with a torn ligament for years. Never had the surgery.
Okay, so
Had
it
it
worked
in
for him.
It worked for him. He had it. They found it in August. He shut himself down that whole year. He came back the next year throwing harder. And all these tears are different. And it depends on the location and all that. But Tristan's velocity is down. His fastball is getting absolutely hammered.
Yeah.
And it's a big part of his problem. And his whiff rate is down, and opponents are not chasing. Hitters just aren't chasing out of the zone on him. And until that comes back,
he's going to struggle.
He's going to struggle.
Yeah, no doubt. So it's a concerning situation. The next week, you're playing teams that are not very good offensively. Boston, shockingly, their pitching's been great.
Boston's going to be better than people thought.
I don't love their lineup, though.
I liked Kansas City better than people thought, and I like Boston better.
Kansas City is the one that's
Kansas City has won, 11 out of 13 or something? They're playing really
I mean,
well.
they'll regress the mean a little bit. They're not that good.
But those veteran starters they got are
helping.
well.
They're stabilizing the rotation.
Obviously, Reagan's it started last year with him, but Seth
Where?
Lugo's been really good. He pitched a good game yesterday.
Where's the Twins at in our
They're not playing well. They're like 6-9.
Yeah, they're a mess
6
right
and
now.
9.
So the top 3 is us, Detroit, and Kansas City?
Yeah. But Minnesota will be better. The White Sox, they might be the worst team in baseball.
Man, I should have put that money down for the Guardians to win. I forgot what the
I
money
don't think it's a
was.
foregone conclusion.
It ain't, but still, like I would have been feeling good.
They're not going to win the division.
I'd have been feeling good right about now. Like I got
But
some money.
Minnesota figured it out. They're not this bad.
Overall, you got to be happy with how the Guardians are playing. And Zach made the point on the Ultimate Cleveland Guardian show this morning. He's 100% right. They're winning games unlike the way they've won them in recent years. Like they've gotten a lot of clutch hits late. They've gotten, what I noticed is they'll blow a big opportunity where it looks like they missed a chance to win the game, and then the next inning they'll come through.
Yeah.
I feel like they haven't really done that. They have been very feisty. They play with a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Seems like Stephen Vogt's a great fit right now. Again, long way to go.
Long way to go.
But so far, so good. I mean, they're fun, and they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're a fun baseball team right now.
They're 8-2 on the road too, which I know is partially who they've played, but still, 10 games, 8-2 on the road. It's the best road record in baseball.
Yeah.
And maybe it's not as big of a deal, but for a rookie manager, that feels to me a little extra impressive.
Yeah,
They're
good.
They're coming right back home, right?
Well, no, they got 3 more. Yes, they got 3 more
After
at Boston.
Boston.
They come home for Oakland. And
I don't remember.
Is it the Astros after Oakland? No, it's a team better than the Astros. Who do they play after Oakland, Mike? They play somebody good, and then the Astros, who are struggling, but we know they're good.
They play after the Red Sox.
No, they play Oakland, and then who do they play after Oakland?
They
Play Boston again.
ESPN has a wonky schedule. They go Boston, Oakland, Boston, Atlanta, Houston.
Atlanta, that's what I was thinking of. Yeah. So you got now a stretch: Boston, Oakland, Boston. Where you're not facing good lineups. Boston can pitch. Oakland can't do anything. But then after that, obviously the Braves are as good as anybody, even though their best starters out for the year, like the Guardians. And then the Astros, who are scuffling, but we know they can pick it up at any time.
Astros pitching's a mess.
A mess. That kid Hunter Brown, he's been awful.
Yeah.
Didn't they have somebody throw the no-hitter?
Yes.
Yeah.
Who was it?
Ronel Blanco. And then he pitched like 5 no-hit innings his next start.
Dang. And he's young, right?
No, he's like a journeyman. He's kind of been
Really?
floating around. I shouldn't say a journeyman, but he came out of nowhere. He's not a prospect.
Verlander comes back for them this week, so that might stabilize some things.
Well, we'll see. I mean,
he got hit around.
42?
We got hit around in the rehab, big time.
Yeah, he's old. All right, Mike.
So
next?
the playing games are tonight on the Western Conference. I'm going
Yep.
to mention this before we got to some super chats here and wrapped up the show.
So it's Lakers-Pelicans, right?
Lakers, Pelicans, and then Warriors, Kings.
That'd be a fun game.
By the way, I do know somebody, and Tyvus alluded to something similar to this. One of the guys that I work with from my podcast is a Pelicans fan.
I didn't know those existed.
Right? Well, he's from New Orleans, this guy. And he...
They still don't have them down there either. Pelicans are totally irrelevant in New Orleans.
Yeah, I guess so. But he actually wants the Pelicans to lose to the Lakers because he thinks they'll have a better chance of competing with
OKC, which is the same.
OKC than Denver.
That's what no one wants to see Denver.
Yeah, but then you got to beat Golden State or Sacramento.
Yeah, but his point is this team, like, you know, they're a young, and not the Cavs with Donovan Mitchell. He's like, they're a young team. You got to find. He thinks maybe they could win a series and shock Oklahoma.
They have more playoff experience.
He says
Cleveland does.
When they said
Denver's killed them.
When he said that to you, what did you say?
Call him a coward.
I'm telling you.
I said it's a loser mentality.
You better got all over him.
I said it's a loser mentality.
Okay.
Now, it is a different story than the Cavs.
Why?
Because it said it's a young team.
So it's the Cavs.
But I said to him, the players would never want to do that. They'd be losers if they lost on purpose.
I agree with that
to avoid a team. Yeah.
Well, they said Max Strus was mad after the game.
Good, because Max is not a loser.
Max
the rest
Well,
pissed.
I mean, you're talking
Max
about a
was
guy
very
who
upset.
just was in the finals last year.
That's right.
Yeah.
So here's my idea. I think it would make the play-in even more fun. And just to give everyone a refresher how the play-in rules actually work.
Yeah.
7 plays 8. The winner of that game is the 7 seed.
Right.
The loser of that game plays the winner of 9-10, and then the winner of that second game gets the 8 seed.
Right.
So very, very basic. I think, and maybe not just for the play-in, but for all of playoffs in general, sports would be so much more. Don't take that word, Steve. Sports would be so much more fun. No, don't take Stagboard. You don't need to do this. Come on. What are y'all doing behind my back? What are y'all doing? No, I didn't say tagboard.
Mike getting aggravated over there.
Well, Ant was like, you got to tell him to take it earlier. I was like, well, I can't talk and tell him. And now I don't communicate. Take it. It's all good. How much more fun would it be in the play-in if 7 just got to pick the team they played? It's 1 game elimination. 7 gets to pick whatever team they want to play. And if they could pick 8, 9, or 10, done. Whoever the highest seed that isn't picked, let's say they pick 10, then it'd be 8, 9. But I want to spend it the whole playoffs. If you win the 1 seed in your conference, you should be able to pick whatever team you want to play. OKC should have their choice of any other team they want to play in the first round. That would eliminate any tanking. Jason, how much fun would that be in the playoffs if the 1 seed in the conference gave you a bigger incentive and to go down? So second seed would get second pick, third, and then 4 and 5 would obviously match up. To make the regular season more fun, the immediate rivalries you would get from teams calling out, we want to play Team X,
And
and
get
then
beat.
the
That'd be fun.
backlash.
And then they-
That would make it so much
It's
more
never
fun.
going to happen.
That'd be
Well, of
fun.
course it would never happen.
How
But it
often
would
do
be
you
so
think the
much more
1 seed
fun.
would not pick the 8?
This year, in both conferences.
Yeah.
Well, it depends who ends up being the 8 in the East. You're assuming it's going to be either Miami or Philly.
Philly.
Okay, yeah, but you can even eliminate the play-in then. Just go 1 through 8, and those would be your 2 teams.
They would take, in the East, you would take Orlando or Indiana, or maybe the Cavs.
Yeah.
But you'd probably take Orlando or Indiana if you're in 1 seed
Right.
in the East. In
That's
the West,
In the West, like now in this case, because we're going 1 through 8, Golden State, Sacramento out. You're probably taking New Orleans, who is the 7 seed.
Yeah. You know what's funny is that
Phoenix, piss off Kevin Durant in the first round.
You ain't taking LeBron, I tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
come on.
I think that would make it so much more fun, and also give incentive to make the regular season more competitive.
The old guys are done, Jason. You know it.
Okay.
LeBron's never going to be the best player on a championship team again. You know that. Come on.
I mean, I don't think he's playing for a championship in L.A.
LeBron's still top 10.
LeBron,
He's still a top 10
Durant,
guy
and the Warriors are done. Done. Winning championship.
Didn't the Warriors just win it 2 years ago?
Bet against LeBron at your own risk.
They weren't done.
I said yesterday, he can't carry a team through a 7-game series and then another 7-game and then another and then another.
So that's what I'm saying.
But you put him in a position to win one game to win it, I'll take him every time. I don't care how old he is. He could be 57,
to get to that
roll out of bed in jeans, and I would take him.
Mike.
You know who I feel like that with Giannis.
He's top 10 in the league still.
Here's all I'm saying. Here's all I'm saying. Just tell me if you agree with this. LeBron will never win a championship again as the best player. I'm not saying he can't go somewhere else, be the number 2 or number 3 guy and still win. He will never win a championship again as the best player. Kevin Durant will not win the championship again as the best player.
Jeez.
And the Warriors, as currently constituted, will never win again. I don't know if any of those statements are bold.
Jason,
I don't think they are. But
that's a really bold take for picking the 6, 7, and 8 seeds in the West. 6, 8, and 10 seed in the West.
I just said I don't know if that's bold. I don't think it is. But he's saying he can still pick LeBron at 57. So
I'm saying.
Do you disagree with Mike's statement?
So if you took LeBron and inserted him on the Cavs right now, they would be a championship team.
He's not.
And I would think he would be the best player.
If you put LeBron on this team, they beat Boston. I'm telling you right now, they beat Boston.
And he'd be the best player.
Cavs
on the team.
beat Boston.
So that
they wouldn't beat the Western Conference champ.
I don't know. I'll tell you right.
The Eastern Conference blows.
What do you
Jason.
think? Oh no, Boston is legit.
Besides Boston, everybody else
trust
sucks.
the coach.
Mike, you put LeBron on this team. Do you think they beat Boston?
No.
I think they do.
I need to.
If
ask
Darius,
after round one,
if Darius
there's
shot
a chance
better,
Darius, Jarrett, and Evan don't show up in the playoffs again, and then it doesn't matter. So let me answer that question after round one.
If Darius and Evan can consistently make threes, yeah.
You guys have still not answered my question.
Yes, it is probably unlikely a 40-year-old
No,
LeBron James,
and
a
unlikely.
39-year-old Kevin
Yes or
Durant,
no?
or a
I'm
36-year-old
saying
Steph Curry.
definitively, LeBron will never win a championship again as the best player. Durant will never win a championship again as the best player, and the Warriors core will never win again. Yes,
I agree with Durant and the Warriors, but I would hold out on the LeBron.
You're holding out on LeBron.
Because
hold out on LeBron.
If you put LeBron on the Cavs, he's the best player. And I think they could win a championship.
Yeah, I'm going to hold out LeBron. I'm also going to counter that bold claim by saying I think it's highly unlikely Damian Jones will ever win an NBA championship as the best player on the NBA team.
That is apples to oranges.
He's a 2-time champion, Bull. Just saying, I'm going to make that bold claim. Damian James will not win the title as the best player. All right, we got some super chats to get to today before we wrap up. Our guy Mud says, JOK is amazing. He can track down all the speedy quarterbacks. Mikey McGee says, I'm a theology major. Ask me anything religious. LOL. Not quite sure exactly what that was.
That was about living together.
Because in the Bible, there are like random things that you can't do that are like innocuous now. But at the time, they had meaning. You know what I mean?
Batman says, we done with the 90s. Hashtag MJ had no left hand. Hashtag GOAT LeBron.
Oh, whatever.
Where did that come from?
This is the most recent one, so I guess it was in relation
we
to
done with the
LeBron.
90s. MJ had a left hand.
Mud also says, whenever Bull and Jason don't think the Browns are the best and making the best move, they are haters. Earl dodging Jason's question was perfect. And our guy Daryl says, Adam the Raging Bull, Tyvis Cover 2 Powell, Jason Pink Lloyd, Mikey 10-Piece McNuggets. Great show, UCSS. Love you guys.
What was Tyvis' nickname?
Cover 2.
Tyvis Cover 2.
Cover 2.
That's hilarious. That's actually hilarious.
That's good.
Well thought of, actually. Well thought of.
I had Pink Floyd in college or in school. School, like grade school, was Pink Floyd. But then it became Lloyd Christmas after Dumb and Dumber came out. Then everyone called me Lloyd Christmas after that.
Speaking of, you said Dumb and Dumber, that just reminded me. I don't watch SNL anymore, but I saw the clip come across my Twitter timeline of the Beavis and Butthead sketch they did this weekend. Did you guys see that?
I actually saw that, yeah, and it was so good.
That was objectively hysterical.
What's-her-face broke character. It was so funny. She was cracking up. I forget her name.
I forget her name, but it was the second best break I've ever seen from an SNL character during a live sketch.
I gotta see it.
David Spade cracking up during Chris Farley doing
Down by the River.
Down by the River is an all-time. It was
good.
David Spade and Christina Applegate.
Yeah.
That was an all-timer
too.
The other really good.
By the way, they're doing a movie about Chris Farley's life, and
who's playing him?
Does anybody here watch the Karate Kid, the new Karate Kid show?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Of course. On Netflix?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I don't
Cobra
know.
Kai.
Right, yes. So the remember the
heavy
set guy?
Yeah.
Who's like with the kids?
Yes.
That guy is playing Chris Farley.
Also, real quick, SNL, the Caitlin Clark skit was true.
I heard that was funny. I didn't see it. I got to see it.
It was great.
It was good too.
Are y'all?
It was what's his name?
It was on Michael
the news
Che.
guy,
Michael Che.
right? Yeah.
Are y'all watching the big fight this Saturday?
You would consider you can't
He
get
even
through it
laughed
laughing.
when he said it.
Which one is
I
it?
didn't even know there was a
Is
big
this
fight.
the Tyson Paul fight?
No, that's in July. This is Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia.
No, I never heard of either of those guys.
Not watching.
Are they heavyweights?
No,
it's boxing, they're
no,
lightweights.
this is lightweight. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like the best. Like,
Boxing
division.
died after Mike Tyson. Let's just face that.
Mike Tyson's fighting in 2 months.
You don't want to
so boxing's
see.
still
He's
alive.
fighting one of those Paul idiots. I don't know which
Oh,
one.
I hope he kills him.
I can't tell him
It's
apart.
Jake Paul.
Thank you.
Logan Paul just announced he's having another kid.
I think they should have Mike
congratulations
Tyson.
on the sex.
You know what would be great?
Logan Paul.
If you had Mike Tyson and his tiger fight the Paul brothers. And if they get eaten, they get eaten. You know, whatever.
They from Cleveland. Why you hate them so much?
We'll see you at overtime.